Hey, I'm Matt. This is No Dumb Questions, and what you're about to listen to here is the live episode we recorded at my place in Wyoming the night before the solar eclipse. And a whole bunch of you were there. It was a blast. I think you're going to have a lot of fun with it. But before we tear into it, I want to tell you about the sponsors who made this thing happen. First of all, there's bombfell.com. They get you hand-picked clothes by a real-life stylist that fit your life. That's how they put it, and I think it's a really good description because I got my first thing from Bombfell, and, well, that's exactly what happened. In fact, I open it on this episode, and it's really fun. So bombfell.com/NDQ will get you $25 off your first order with them. And the second sponsor on this episode is RxBar at rxbar.com/NDQ. RxBar is a whole food protein bar with all real ingredients, and they put them all on the front so you know exactly what you're eating, and it's cool. And also, we may or may not have given away a whole bunch and got a lot of good feedback on it in the live episode that you're going to hear about as well. So once again, bombfell.com/NDQ, that gets you $25 off your first order with them, and rxbar.com/NDQ, which will get you 25% off your first order of 12 bars with them. Okay, cool. Thank you for supporting our sponsors. When you do that, you support us, and it really means a lot to us. But now let's get to the episode.
We ever done one of these live?
We've never done one of these.
No,
live.
we need to disclose that. Thank you for agreeing.
Let's just make sure we're rolling our recorders.
That's important.
Yeah.
That's really important. I'm really glad that happened.
Yeah, it worked pretty good, didn't it?
Way better than we expected. So we got that music, and when that happened, you called, and you were like, these guys are recording music right now?
Yeah.
And it's going to be good.
It's going to be good. Yeah.
You're right.
Ben and Mitch. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They were trying to record Super Mario Brothers tunes at first.
Oh, this worked out way better.
And then it devolved into that.
It did. So this is a podcast episode. Should we disclose that we're in front of a live audience, or should we just like not?
I wouldn't mention it now.
Oh yeah, just don't even worry about that. It's not. There's nothing really interesting or different about that.
No, nothing at all.
It's completely normal, actually.
No, I mean the ability to edit stupid things that we say.
The awkward pauses that I always take out, and those little nuances that we each have that we say the thing, and when you edit,
and then the thing.
And you take it out.
Right, and your mouth sounds.
We can't do that this time. The awkward breathing is going to stay. Okay, so.
We do cut every single one of those.
We do cut the mouth sounds. So this is eventually going to turn into a podcast. So I think what I'd like to do is, we start by clapping it in.
Oh, yeah.
To make sure that we've synchronized. So I see no reason to do this differently. Okay, ready? Do you want to count, or would you like me to?
Well, I can't. Just a second.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
You know why that's easier?
Because we're in the same room.
There's no delay.
Yeah.
There's normally a delay, and we have to synchronize the different audio tracks, and we don't have to now.
And it's awful. We both lack the rhythmic skill to simply count to 4 in proper time.
We do.
And then clap, because I'm always trying to match.
It doesn't work.
No, because distance.
Feedback. Okay, so here's the deal. I want to say thank you to everyone that made the trip to Lander, Wyoming. Thank you so much.
No kidding.
Yeah. And, I mean, obviously you came all this way for the No Dumb Questions live episode. There's nothing else really going on in Lander this week, right?
That's definitely worth driving across the country for twice.
There's no eclipse or anything like that.
Well, I mean...
Well, there's the total solar eclipse.
Total solar eclipse.
But besides that, thank you for coming. I mean, I've met some people from Alaska. Some people, a lot of people from Canada.
Thing 1, thing 2, thing 3 in the back from Alaska. Yep.
Yeah, we got some people from Maine.
Yes. Yeah. Also observable from anywhere in the room.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah, so seriously, thank you guys for coming. But I want to talk about some deep stuff because you and I have not hung out like live like this.
No.
And there's some things
We're
about...
virtual friends.
We are. And there's things about that that's different. You meet someone on the internet, and just like all the people here, when we would go up and meet, we would shake hands, and there's this familiarity. Like a couple people, I recognize their avatar from Twitter. I'm like, oh, I know you, green background. You were wearing glasses in your picture, right?
So the lesson here is don't ever change that. Yeah. Whatever you go with day one of Twitter.
In all seriousness, there's something different about knowing people via the internet versus knowing people face to face?
Well, I'm old enough to remember when you couldn't know people via the internet, and those relationships didn't exist. I had an 8th grade sort of girlfriend
Yeah?
in Westminster,
Yeah?
and it cut.
I'm just checking my time, just like I always do.
What are you looking at there?
My watch. I was just going to make sure that I knew when we started so that...
Oh, I thought I was over the 7-second mark. And,
No, you're not. You're not.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's like $1.05 a minute to call down there to awkwardly 8th grade, and like, hey. And that hey was going to cost $1.05 because I had nothing after that.
Yeah.
But that was the closest thing that I had to an internet friendship. And now I know a lot of people from the internet.
So two very strange things. First of all, I want to talk about driving across Wyoming in a bit. I don't want to do that right now. Mm-hmm. But two things happened when I came to your house. We were driving up your neighborhood. The Google Maps was telling us that your house was about a quarter mile away, past it.
Yeah, it lies.
It does. We drove up, and my wife says, "Yeah, keep going forward." I was like, "No, that's his house."
How'd you know?
I knew because the garage door was open. There was a weight machine inside, and there was a camper.
And I like to leave the garage door open and
I don't
bench
know
press
why.
listening to Winger.
It
Because
felt,
I do.
Do you really?
No.
Okay. It felt right. I don't know why. And there was a flag, and I was like, he says he hates flags, but he's got a flag, and it's a new flag, and I know he loves Wyoming. That's Matt's house. I don't care what the GPS says. That's Matt's house. And she goes, no, it's forward. I was like, that's it. We're going to come back there in just a second. And it was your house.
It was my house.
How did I know that?
Well, it could be a background of like snaps and stuff,
No.
and things like that.
No, it wasn't.
I want my house to feel like me, so you should be able to figure it out.
I feel like I know you, but...
Thanks for feeling like that.
Well, yeah, but what happened when I actually saw you face to face?
You were weirded out by my voice.
I was, really.
He's not kidding. You walked in and you were like...
I said, you're sick.
You sound weird. Are you ill?
And it occurred to me that we've met each other in the flesh. How many times? 3, right?
3 times.
Where were they?
You self-invited us to the White House.
That was awesome. That actually happened.
That worked.
Yeah.
Normally you go on a list for that.
Yeah.
So
totally happened.
But is it self-invite to the White House and Park City?
Park City, Utah.
You were doing a
talkie talk
at Park City.
Okay, so we had spent about 2-3 hours face to face at each of those locations together, honest conversation, maybe more than that. But I haven't talked to you in 8 months. I don't even know how long it was.
Yeah, sure.
But you sounded sick to me. And it's because every time I'd ever heard your voice, it's gone through the modulation of a microphone, and it wasn't getting the highs. It was only giving me the deep sounds.
Well, no, I think it's pretty deep.
Yeah. So what's it like because you do the 10-minute Bible hour, what's it like to finally meet people that you've seen in the comment section? Is that weird?
Oh, well, I'm meeting the people I like in the comment section here. So it makes a tremendous difference.
This is a biased crowd.
I got people on the banned list. I don't think any of them made it.
Yeah.
If you did, your moment's coming anytime here. So be ready. It's going to be great. What's fun about it is that face-to-face conversation doesn't come with the same associations that the comment section does. I don't know how it is for you. I don't know how many of your comments you read because you get a couple more than I do, and most of mine are my mom with her fake accounts.
Who's here, by the way.
Thank you for that.
Where is Sue?
Thank you. Where is my mom?
Where's Matt's mom?
Thank you, Mom.
Matt's mom, could you stand up? So I'm looking at about 300 people here, and most of your 10-minute Bible hour, first week, you get 1,000 views.
Most of the 970. I
so
think
I've done the math. Sue has about 700 YouTube accounts.
Yep.
That's impressive.
Yeah, with comments like, "Oh, this one's from Ronnie in Georgia. Honey, your hat looks so nice. Is that a new one?" Thanks, Ronnie. It is a new hat.
She hugged me.
I would hope so.
As soon as she saw me, she hugged me. It was great. And your dad walked in. He's like, "I'm looking for my son." I was like, "I'm sure there's a little guy around here somewhere."
Yeah, that's adorable. That's adorable.
Yeah.
But the comment section, to your question, I don't know about you, but there's a bit of nervousness. I mean, it doesn't get through the armor at this point. It did week 1 of YouTube. Man, anybody doesn't like something I post, you just cry for 7 hours, but you get over it. But it's the comment section. People just say stuff. They fire from the hip sometimes. And so it's the good stuff and the bad stuff, you just ratchet it all down in terms of how serious you take it. Whereas when you meet somebody and shake their hand, it counts. That's just a normal person, and you can figure out pretty quick a couple things about a person, how they interact with you, ask a few basic questions, where you're from, what are you up to, and it goes from being a little circle on the side of a comment that could mean anything and you can't detect sarcasm in, to being like a story. There's a whole story behind each interaction.
What's interesting to me about it is that there's a certain amount of personal investment you make in a human, right?
Sure.
And each person can only make so much investment in other people. And, you listen to a podcast, you're putting in an hour and a half with these guys, right?
On a short one.
Right. Well, these people here that are awesome, you guys, we're talking about driving across the country or even driving from down the road. Each one of those investments is incredible. And so it makes me think about how I invest in other people's lives and how I apply time to other people.
What does that look like?
I don't know. So with my children, I don't do it enough. I feel guilty about that. Do you feel guilty about that? I've watched your family, by the way. I've been silently judging you the entire time I've been here.
Just now?
No, the entire time.
Yeah, I was saying like years.
When did you, let's be straight up right now. When did you size me up? Because this is the first time you see me interact with my wife in the flesh. I think you were scared of my wife before you met her.
Whatever.
I think you were.
You're not scared of your wife.
You were totally scared of my wife.
Okay.
You
know what I'm
true
gonna
or
do?
false?
No.
My wife said she goes, I would like a room to do the homeschool work with my kids. And I was like, it's not a big deal, Matt. And you were like, oh, it is a big deal.
Oh, that's actually how it sounded. Exactly. Your impersonation of me.
It's perfect. It's
by the
spot
way,
on.
A+.
It's spot on.
Yep. You even purged the Southern
Why were you
accent.
so over the top about that?
Because you're our guest and we like you. Because we have things in common and virtually hang out. And
It's
so
true.
your wife asked for one lousy thing, just a room to do some kid stuff in, and we were like, well, yeah, we could do that.
Well, I was like, I
Because
tried
I
to
don't know, I
hand wave
guess
it.
it was
You
like
wouldn't let me.
hospitality or whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like the thing where you're in line. You're like, I'll pay. No, I'll pay. And then finally somebody does.
Yeah.
It was like that, except, yes, you can have a room to do homeschool stuff in.
Okay, cool. Maybe I made that.
No, I feel like
It was way deeper in my head.
maybe
I was trying to read your mind.
you were trying to read my mind.
It doesn't work, does it?
I don't know. Like,
I've got this thing where I can read Matt's mind.
and he's right, like solid 40% of the time.
If it's a yes or no, like 40% of the time, I nail it every time.
Absolutely. Can vouch. It's weird. Ask him to do it after.
It hurts to say that out loud, actually.
No, okay. Well, part of the deal, too, is when you meet somebody in person that you've interacted with a lot through electronic mediation, you're hankering for an opportunity to just be basically nice. Like nice in the traditional old school way.
Right.
Where you like shake somebody's hand or you make eye contact, you swap questions, you listen to each other. And I met your wife. I mean, we've all known each other for a long time, but never met her in the person. So if she needs something, we want to make it a happy time for you guys to come and visit.
It's different, isn't it?
It is different.
And I really enjoyed, you learn things about people that you wouldn't know otherwise. Like with the physical interaction. I shouldn't go here. I shouldn't go here.
I'm hesitant. I'm clinching. a
Okay,
little.
you've been trying. I can't say this. I
Well,
can't say.
don't.
Okay. You've been trying to convince me about the bidet thing
You still
forever.
have an option not to say it.
You've been trying to convince me about the bidet thing forever.
I don't see what the bidet sells itself.
Okay. And I finally got to interact with it.
And you did it wrong.
Like yours. This was yours.
No,
and it's
if
like,
you get something like that wrong, it's calamitous.
I was like,
but
Matt,
you wouldn't accept instruction.
I was
I'm
like-
an engineer. I think I know how to wash my undercarriage. Wrong.
I did take a class in fluid dynamics, but I said, hey, Matt, where's your restroom? And you're like, well, there's one upstairs, but you want the one downstairs.
Now that was a good impersonation. I like that.
He did.
Yeah, because it was deep.
And I learned two things about you that I would never, ever learn on the internet. Number one, there's something wrong with your geometry. And number two,
It's flawless.
you're not as sensitive as I am, apparently.
Okay. Yeah, and I learned something about you. Number one, like you didn't listen to instructions.
Yeah.
So I think you're the type who maybe makes the instructions.
Okay.
And so maybe it was difficult
Yeah, engineers
to
do that.
accept instructions about how to operate the bidet. But when we went down there today to investigate why it wasn't operating to your satisfaction,
Correct.
what we
Yeah.
discovered is that you were operating, it was user error.
I'll accept that as a possible theory.
Okay, let me explain what happened.
No, let's don't. All right. So getting on to Wyoming.
It's a warm water bidet. And first of all, this episode is not sponsored by, I don't know,
Easy Jet.
Donnie's warm water bidet
Are we doing
company.
this?
No.
We're doing this. Can we not do this?
We had the option to write a script, and you declined. So this bidet, it's got 2 levers on it. One of the levers is
It has a
strike
cyclic and a
position.
collective.
strike position and temperature.
It does, actually.
And you mismanaged the temperature dial because you were too eager. Like, oh, well, let me see, I guess I'm a man. I'd want this more toward hot. Except
Holy
it's
cow.
scalding.
Stop for just a second. You know when you fly a helicopter?
Oh, yeah. No, I don't know. I don't
Just
know.
listen.
Okay.
When you fly a helicopter, you have collective, and that's power. That's like up, down, but it's power to the engine.
That's your spray power.
Yes. And then you have collective, which is the position.
So I think you'd know how to do this.
Yeah, okay, wait.
Because I've never
was
flown
the
a helicopter,
realization I
but I
just had on
operated the bidet
stage.
properly from day one.
Okay, all right.
So you come upstairs complaining about temperature. And I'm like, well, there's a clearly marked temperature gauge. If you didn't want scalding,
Yeah,
don't turn it to the side labeled scalding.
okay. Thank you. Okay, getting back to the topic.
Seriously, buy one.
Yeah, sorry. So driving across Wyoming, when we first started the podcast, we did that episode about how different are we? And it was kind of tongue in cheek because we have a lot of stereotypes and we're very similar, but dude, we really are different. And it wasn't until I was somewhere past, I don't even know the names of the towns I drove past, but
There
it
were
was
only 4.
And I thought to myself, I don't know, Rawlins? It was before Rawlins. What's before Rawlins?
Hannah, Elk Mountain,
Whatever.
Laramie.
Whatever.
Okay.
That town.
'Cause
So
I think that was all of them.
we were somewhere there, and I looked at my wife, and I was like, you know what? This landscape changes a person. This is completely different than anything I've experienced where I'm at. Now, not experienced, but, visiting somewhere is one thing, but living somewhere is quite different. So, quick question. I have some questions about specific things I saw on the way, but why Lander, Wyoming? Because I know
Yeah, that's a good question.
you're an intelligent guy.
Thank you.
You're well educated. You could probably get a job wherever you wanted. I'm not downplaying Lander because it's beautiful and amazing, but why did you choose to be here? Because it's a choice. It's very clear to me this is a choice.
Okay.
People that live here want to live here. Why?
When I was sizing it up from a distance, I didn't know that. I thought this was maybe one of those places you get stuck just looking at it on a map. But when you get here, you figure out, for me, like the first block getting into town, like, oh, these people like their town.
They do.
Like, sculptures are an unnecessary expense. Cool. Lawn's green. That
Dude,
could be
the bronze
easy here.
statues are amazing.
There's a
bear
foundry here.
like sucking honey out of a log. It's the biggest
Something
statue
like
I've
that.
ever seen. And it's just like, we're going to make a bear statue.
We felt like it would be helpful.
That's amazing.
So right off the bat, I figured out quickly, this is not a place you get stuck. This is a place people want to be. But we came here for 3 months. We lived in Nebraska, and things were good. We were doing stuff there that we liked, and it's fine. And somebody knew somebody who knew somebody, knew my dad, knew somebody. And so I ended up coming out here to fill in here at this church for 3 months, which is weird. I'd never done that job in that capacity and didn't have an interest in doing it. But it seemed cool and something different. And so we came out. I figured that'd be a horrible misfit given my personality. It just wasn't. Everybody liked each other. And we talked about sticking around, and that didn't make a ton of sense in my brain because I don't know. You saw how long it took to drive to get here, right? It felt really remote after Chicago and Vegas and Fort Collins and all of this. But the people were cool.
Yeah.
And the mountains were cool.
It's my understanding that somebody came to church this morning and then they went home with some people from your church who cooked them pork chops. Did that really happen?
There were pork chops.
Raise
I
your hand if
understood
that
there were
happened.
pork chops?
That happened.
If you ate someone's pork chops today. Okay, good.
That's amazing. There's a guy from Alabama that did that too. That's awesome. Roll Tide, by the way. Whatever. He said War Eagle. We're just going to ignore that.
So,
But the people are very nice.
people are great and hyper competent. Everybody here is good at something.
What do you mean?
Everybody you meet has got some secret, ridiculous skill. You'll meet a guy, and I don't have any cowboy connections or anything. I'm mostly a city boy. But you meet a guy, he's wearing the cowboy hat and the whole thing. Sometimes you'll even see spurs in Subway. And you talk to him for a minute, you figure out pretty quick, like, oh, yeah, I do glass blowing. Well, I do okay. And then somebody pipes in and they're like, yeah, he's like the best at it on earth.
Really?
Why do you live in Lander? Seemed like a good place to blow glass. And People can paint, build
What's the deal
stuff,
with the
make
bronze
things.
sculptures? What's the deal with that?
I'm the wrong person to ask. There are other landerites here. It's called Eagle Bronze, is that right? It's been here since forever?
My understanding is there's a foundry, and there's people that come from all over the world, literally, to work at this foundry to make sculptures.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Why? I mean, what?
Well, because you can okay, so here's the thing.
Okay.
You're right about the way a place changes you.
Yeah.
And I remember the effect that living in cosmopolitan Chicago had on us. It was fun. It made me, get outside of my own element a lot more. And I never fully felt settled there, but that was part of the fun. It was an unsettling place to live, meeting very different people all the time. Here, the distance, the space, the wildlife, the mountains, it affects you. When I think just the line of sight changes the way you think.
Dude.
What?
Okay. Can I go? Can I?
Yeah, then I'm going to round out that thought later, but you do your thing.
Okay. The line of sight actually does change the way you think.
Why?
Okay, so when you're driving down the road and you can see for stinking ever.
Yeah, it's roughly how far it is.
Okay. So this is simple stuff. Everybody knows about perspective, but you have to experience perspective every second you're here. Because if there's a mountain 40 miles that way and you're driving past it, it ain't moving.
Right.
In angular position. Okay, so think about yourself. I mean, I know you're really good at math. Think about yourself in polar coordinates for a second.
Yeah, that's how I normally think of myself.
Yeah. So we're driving, and then the angular rate of change by that mountain is very low. So theta, which is a measure of the angle, theta dot, the change in rate of the angle, is very low for that mountain.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
But right here up close, the ground is moving so fast, all you can see is motion blur. Mm-hmm. And my brain was playing games with me the entire time because that's how you use theta dot a lot when you're doing like missile calculations. Just trust me on that.
I'm willing to trust you.
Okay, so it was really cool for my brain to play that game the entire time. It's the position of the mountains and how your brain has to see that 3 dimensions. It's unlike anything I have in Alabama because I have maybe a straight shot of 10 miles max.
Well, and people who make these drives all the time, you know that the light changes that. If you're midday and everything's washed straight from the top down, you don't notice that nearly as much. But you get some clouds or into the evening, and there are layers of light and darkness, and you're looking at, your brain's trying to compute 15 layers deep of stuff, and it's all moving at a different rate, and your brain, somewhere deep down in there, is computing how far away each layer is.
There's a word for that. There's a phrase for that. It's called concentration length.
I didn't know that was...
You can figure out how thick a cloud is by how much light gets through. And so you're telling me your brain is doing the math on how far away distance is based on the fogginess between here and there, and it's just humidity or something like that?
Not just... Well, we don't have humidity. That's not really our thing.
Okay.
So, no, I mean based on how quickly one layer is moving versus the next layer versus the next layer versus the next layer. So it's not even... you get some haze, but not much. And so you have a sense of distance in this way.
Okay.
And I think what is so unique about here is that it changes the way Wyomingites perceive distance. When I lived in Nebraska, I would commute back and forth to teach at Kearney, UNK.
Flat, right?
It's flat as it comes.
Okay.
And you measured that distance by little farming town to little farming town, and that's how you kept track of it. It was a 45-minute drive. And people are like, how long are you going to keep that up, man? It's a long commute. It's starting to take a tax on you. And Wyomingites are chuckling. You can already hear them. Because they're like, 45, that's like where the gas station is. It's an hour and a half round trip to fuel up. But here, the difference is a 45-minute drive, I can see that.
That's crazy.
So, Crowheart Butte is out this way. It's this big, cool, flat-top mountain. I talked a little bit about it in the last episode and the legends surrounding that.
That's where the
one-on-one combat.
The Native American chiefs fought to death.
Yeah, it's not nearly as well documented as I would like as a historian, but there's this story that goes around, and everybody tells it kind of the same, about it being one of the few actual times in history where instead of having a giant war and having all the people fight, like when Jon Snow and Ramsay Bolton were going to go at it, and instead, you just challenge each other to one-on-one combat, and they did it. And it's supposed to be
actually did it.
Yeah. And
it would have been like Ulysses S. Grant and Robert E. Lee, like, hey, well, we're going to do it. Let's go.
Man, who would win that?
I don't know.
That's hard for me to calculate. Neither of those guys were in good shape.
They weren't. No.
Who I would send out if I was the North. I'd send Abe Lincoln. I'll tell you what.
Really?
Oh, that guy wrestled
He was a
pigs.
wrestler.
Yeah. He's lanky.
Did he really wrestle a bear?
Gangly.
No, that was
I don't
Bear
know for
Bryant, the
positive.
Alabama coach. I'm sorry.
We're like only 9 points away from where we were going. This is going to work. So, Crowheart Butte, it's a very iconic thing. It's a big, flat butte that you can see way out there. And it takes, locals help me out, an hour to drive there? Roughly an hour? Okay. But if you drive up behind Lander onto the little switchbacks back here by Red Butte, just right behind town, you can get up to the top of those switchbacks and you can see it.
Really?
It's out there. It's black and off in the distance, but you can see it. And that thing's an hour away. Wow. And you can see stuff that is easily the same distance further beyond it. I mean, you get up on that hill back there, you can see stuff that if you were to drive that loop, it would take you forever. And so 45 minutes to a Wyomingite, I was like, well, I can see that. I'm just driving to that hill over there.
It changes you, doesn't it?
It does.
In what way?
Okay, one, it makes you extremely tolerant of distance. In terms of running for the weekend to Salt Lake or Denver or whatever. And so it changes the rhythm of our relationships. Because, for example, at church, a person who goes to church regularly here, is here 2 weeks, 3 weeks a month, maybe. You got to go shopping and stuff. Like the kids have sporting events. So you're not going to be close for all of those things. So you just get used to a different pace of interaction with people. You get used to more time sitting by yourself with your vehicle or your horse, people do that, pointed in a direction, thinking. You guys drove up. Most of you had no service through those big basins out there.
Did anybody else hyperventilate when the cell service went? Oh, no service. What? I got 1X roaming.
But I mean, what do you do when you didn't download anything? You don't have a podcast or anything ready to go. You have no service, no radio, and you just have 2 hours.
It was nice.
Your brain.
When we went fishing, you took me fishing. Thank you, by the way. That was really fun. When you took me fishing, I realized I'm out in the middle of nowhere. There's a big moose track. There's just like I saw a squirrel, and it's like me and the squirrel. Like I can't do anything. I can't even Snapchat this squirrel.
But that's where your brain went right away, wasn't it?
It is. I've got to share this.
My Snap people need to see this squirrel.
Yeah, and that was dumb. Like, the more I thought about that, I was like, this is kind of dumb.
You have a good Snap story.
Why is my brain doing that?
But what happens when you get away from it for a minute is that impulse, which I also have, to be like, oh, somebody farted in this elevator. This needs to be snapped immediately. Instead, you just sit there and smell it.
Yeah. Well, of the two of us, I am the more... what's the word? Yeah, you can be rude. Say it however you feel. I am the less likely, whatever. I'm more impatient.
You got this.
I'm more impatient. I am. And I think it's because I have complete access to everything all the time. If you don't return my text messages...
Matt, are you mad at me?
Are you mad at me, Matt? Are you mad? Matt, are you mad?
Are you off the grid? You texted me 4 minutes ago, bro. No, I'm not off the grid. Just ordering food.
I think it's because you're different. You really are different.
And I think that I became more that way after I got here. I think my parents would vouch for that.
Really?
Yeah. You were always after me, as a guy in my 20s for the pace. It's just Dad's from Wyoming, so he's legit. I'm a fraud, but Dad's legit. and I'd come home from college or even grad school, and Dad would be like, you could just sit. Yeah, but I need to do a thing or something. It does slow the pace, and it gives you time to think about stuff. And so for me, I know you're always weirded out when you shoot me a text and I get back to you 4 hours later. I'm like, coming out of the high country, was fishing. And you're like, how often do you do that? Every day that I can break away from things long enough to fish, I'm going to go up there because it doesn't matter how drawn to this I feel. I have all kinds of internet projects. Of course, I want to nurture those things and connect with people, but I just can't. There's people and fish. That's all you can do when you're fishing in a stream in the high country.
Yeah.
And it's good for my brain.
I would agree. It was good for my brain too.
Cool. He caught a fish. Like his first fish was it was a brook trout. I would liken it to my pinky.
Massive.
When I was 6. I don't know how that thing got that fly. That was a big achievement.
Did the fly get him or did he get the fly?
Yeah, I'm not sure which happened. They got better after that.
It was really good. Yeah, learning how to throw the fly was fun. And it was like, when we found a spot and we started whipping the fish out. First of all, fishing is completely different. This is hanging out in nature and bringing in some. I saw Matt's trout pond in his backyard. Okay. First of all, 2 things.
Are we going to do this right now? Because I'd like that.
I owe you an apology.
Oh, I had no idea that was coming. Go ahead.
It is relaxing. Is that a mic set? That's not a mic drop. That's a mic set. A mic. Yeah. It's relaxing, but the only reason I'm cool with it is because of Reginald the fish. The other fish.
Thank you for permission to have the trout pond.
You're welcome. You're allowed to have the trout pond now.
Cool.
My daughter loves the trout pond. Do you like the trout pond, baby? Yep, she likes the trout pond. Yeah. So I owe you an apology for that. But good grief, your fish are not fish here. These are tiny things. These are not real fish.
They're beautiful.
Because we're from Alabama, catfish country.
Yeah, okay.
We have,
I know.
You know, the Hoover, you know the Tennessee Valley project with all the dams, right?
Yeah, the whole FDR thing.
The catfish hang out by the dams and they get huge. And so like fishing is like you use chicken
Jeremy
livers.
Wade
you
told
bump
me
the
they
bottom.
murder people.
What's that?
Jeremy Wade told me they murder people.
I don't know who that is.
River monsters. You still haven't watched it? I
No,
thought
I
we had
haven't.
made an agreement that you would
Sorry.
get into that because it's so good. Because I like
It wasn't
fishing.
a covenant. I didn't do it.
All right, it wasn't a
sorry.
covenant.
So anyway, last question I have about Wyoming.
Hold up. No. What,
Okay.
On the fishing thing, I mean, you come to our state, you mock our fish.
Yep.
The thing is, if you go in the water in Alabama and you're just in there with whatever's in there, how many things in there can kill you?
A lot.
Could like
A gator.
example? Okay, so that's one example of a thing that could kill you, which I'm against.
Water moccasins.
Sure, water moccasin that could bite you and
Yeah.
kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have giant alligator snapping turtles?
Yeah, we do.
I mean, those will just take off your midsection.
No, they won't.
They could. I saw one in a museum
I
once. It
feel
was
like
very
you're
large.
mocking me.
No, I'm not. Here's what I'm driving at. So like, yeah, there's big stuff there that makes you feel like, it's cool to catch big fish. But I'm here to catch big fish. What I love about doing this is it is that one activity that makes me feel most like I am fully, immersively engaged with my surroundings.
It is cool.
Because, I mean, other than the occasional grizzly bear, nothing's going to murder me.
I have not thought. Okay, you talked about the oxbows in the stream.
Yeah.
So the river comes down.
bendy things.
Henry from Minute Physics, who was on the podcast earlier talking about eating meat, he did a really good video on Minute Earth about why oxbows. You should really watch it. It's really good.
Okay.
It has to do with fluid dynamics and stuff like that. And I thought so hard about that. And I would each individual when I would throw the fly and it would hit the water, I would think about where that fly was going to go, and it wasn't always downstream, which perplexed me.
Yeah.
That was weird.
But you learn to read that.
Yeah.
And you know where they're going to hang out.
Yeah.
And you know that if your fly is circling back.
Adam, your buddy that was out
So
there,
was
he
all
was
the
teaching me as
food.
well. We got on a hole, and we're like, that's where they're at. And we
Yep.
just started pulling them out.
Yep.
Even though I wasn't good at doing it. It was fun.
And he did get better ones. He did.
Yeah, it was pretty fun.
Yeah, you got some legit fish.
Can I ask my last question about the drive out here before we do some other stuff?
I think we need to route all, and this is how the podcast actually works.
It's how it works.
We delete most of this. Then we need to route all the way back around
Okay.
to electronically mediated friendship.
Okay, we can do that.
Okay.
All right.
So it's going to be an oxbow.
That's how that works. Last question I have. On the drive out
I
here,
felt good about that.
I saw these fences, and I thought long and hard, and I was like, okay, we're on the wide open plain or whatever you call this type of topography. Clearly, that's to catch tumbleweed. That's where my brain went first.
All right.
That's where my brain went first. And I was like, okay, they don't want the tumbleweed stacking up, so they stop it all, and then they can just burn it all in one place. And I was like, wait. That would burn the fences. That's not what they do. Mm-mm. And then the further we went, my wife said, whatever that is for, it's important. Because that's like miles of fence. And then, of course, eventually I figured out that it was a snow fence. It's for snow drifts, am I correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And so this is what I thought was interesting about the snowdrift fences. When I looked at them, the main part that faced the wind, am I correct? Mm-hmm. They're horizontal slats.
Yes.
Okay. And so the horizontal slats are to catch the snow as it gets above a certain level. Is that right?
Is it?
Yes, I think so.
Game it out.
Yeah. So the snowdrift will come up and it'll go to the slat and then it'll stack up at an angle.
So wind and snow are coming here.
Right.
And you are imagining that is
horizontal
going to,
fence.
Okay.
Yeah, and so the snowdrift starts here and you start an angle. And then I was wondering why the snow doesn't blow through, and I realized that it's all hitting the one above that, and then it's stacking up, and then it's falling down, blocking that, and then going up. Because it's clearly not, a full plywood section because the wind would knock it over because I looked on the backside and they've got an angle kicker, and then they have 2 angles on the inside. And there's something in engineering called a zero force member, and whoever designed these snow fences, they clearly evolved from some guy that got it wrong. It's very clear to me. Yeah, because they use the optimum amount of wood to get a very strong structure, the correct angle, and they have everything like that. It's like a hammer. Like a hammer evolved over thousands of years of people using hammers, like the claws in the right spot, all this.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the snow fence has evolved, but I've never seen it anywhere, and I've been a lot of places.
Have you ever seen it work?
No.
I can tell. It doesn't work the way you think it works.
Tell me.
Wyoming people, you were catching the flaw in the reasoning as it went along. The snow fence does not block snow. It creates a pile up and it's more like a riffle on a gold sluice. It creates a cycle of wind on the other side that causes the snow to begin to pile, and it stacks up on the downwind side of the fence. I'm almost sure I'm telling the truth.
Are you serious? It creates a vortex.
That engineer back there says yes.
Is that how it happens? Fluid dynamics. It's actually multi-phase flow then, because you've got a solid and you have a gas. That's called multi-phase flow. And so you have that's cool.
It is cool. And those snowbanks are crazy. Up where we went for lunch.
Yeah.
We went up to Atlantic City. We did we went to the Merc so I could show him just how all our restaurants are.
It was like Cracker Barrel and steroids.
There you go with the Cracker Barrel again.
It was
They
like,
put raisins in their barbecue sauce.
I actually did, be honest, because you normally lie to me, I know. But
Mostly.
like, were you secretly observing how my kids ordered food when they did?
You just want to get off the snow fence thing.
No. I'm
Okay, we're
I'm
coming.
satisfied to understand how that
There's
works.
another Oxbow happening.
Yeah.
Huge compliment to your kids. That is the best kid food ordering I have ever seen.
I thought the same about you.
Nice job dadding.
Yeah. That was good. It was actually momming, and we'll just take a little bit of credit for it. But
Yeah.
it was pretty cool. They looked, your kids, your guys went first, and then they set the bar pretty high, and I was like, uh-oh, come through, buddy. You can do this. Because your kids looked the guy who wasn't, he wasn't fantastically happy that we were there with children.
No, it was crowded. I mean, they're normally nice folks up there, but it was crowded. They were stressed. It wasn't...
Yeah, he wasn't mean.
Yeah, people weren't in Happyville. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
And coming in with 7 kids wasn't high on their list.
And your
of fun.
son started by looking him straight in the eye and said, "Sir, may I please have?" And he ordered, and he said, "Thank you." And that was, and the guy just, like the waiter, just kind of adjusted his posture, and he's like, whoa, okay, yeah, all right, let's go to the next child. And I was like, oh no, that one's mine.
And your child,
Yeah.
who was sitting real low to the table
Yeah.
at the time, it was his turn. So we moved up so we could make sure to be presentable and make eye contact, did the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Locked the eyes, clear as a bell after just being quiet as a little mouse down there for the whole meal. Pipes right up. Definitely use sir. Alabama.
Roll Tide.
Yeah. Did you want to?
No.
Okay, all right.
He's gonna let me
just
go.
giving you a chance.
He's gonna give me a pass.
Okay. Used sir, used please, crystal clear, and immediately he got the fist bump from me.
It was impressive.
That was a really good order.
It was impressive.
And then the kids proceeded to do the same all the way around. And one kid was missing, so another kid made eye contact and completed the order for the missing one.
I was so impressed with
I
our
was
children.
so happy.
I was.
You know, we're cheating Adam's kid.
Yes.
She was there too, and she also crushed it.
She crushed it.
7 for 7.
Yeah, it was amazing, and I was secretly judging you up to that point about. I was like,
same
what's
here.
going to happen in this restaurant environment? I'm joking. I'm completely joking.
But what's fun about that is that, I'm talking with my buddy Adam and another friend, I can't remember who I was talking with, and they both made the same observation. Like, it's weird that you guys live way far apart, but it makes sense that you're friends because you're going for the same stuff with your family.
Yeah.
And, you like to think about things and talk about things. And so that was the observation coming out of that ordering. That makes sense. You guys turned out to be friends.
That's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
Even though people from Wyoming are very different from people where I'm at. And in all seriousness,
Sneaky different.
getting all the way back, I really, at the beginning of the podcast, I was like, yeah, we're different enough to do a podcast. And it was kind of tongue in cheek. And we were like, we should do a podcast.
Well, we'll just fake being different so that we can justify it.
No, we didn't do that. We
I
actually,
disagree, Destin. We're in an argument.
It was really neat to come to your place, be on your turf, understand how different we really are, all the way down to the geometry of our bodies. It was really interesting to learn all that about you, and still it's really unfortunate that our kids don't get along. You know,
it's been such a pity, hasn't it?
It's sad.
Constant brawling.
And our wives don't get along. That was really I was kind of nervous about that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was. I didn't know.
That's been smooth sailing. We haven't.
I know. We haven't had to dad at all.
No, it's like 4 straight nights of sleepover. That's been going.
That's right.
That's been going great. But no, that's really fun. I mean, there probably aren't a ton of kids in the world we could just throw in the same room and it would work that well. That's been pretty cool.
I was proud.
So what that means, I'm taking it.
Yep.
Is that while electronic mediation changes the way we interact with people, it seems like that would demonstrate that, at least in some cases, given enough time, you can still get a sense of what somebody's values are, what they're into, what they're going for. But I will say this, I have learned so much about you and Tara on the little subtle things that you just can't pick up on the phone in a few days of hanging out. And it's been really fun to fill in a bunch of those gaps where I wouldn't think to know what question to ask, to get a sense of your rhythm and how you do it and how you badger each other, which is fun and different than how Camilla and I badger each other, and how they badger us, which is a little different for each of them as well. And
I really like the other things too. I like, we pick at each other, and that's part of being married and fun. But I really like watching her just go around and support you in little ways. Like she left the aerator in the truck, and she left the cooler in the truck. There was no communication because we didn't have cell phone service, but she knew what you wanted, and she did it. And she didn't know how big of a deal that was.
She nailed it.
But you turned to Adam and me, and you're like, I want you to understand what my wife just did. This is a big deal. And she just knew. And that was really cool to watch that, because we do things like that as well. We're going to have to get off the subject pretty quick because I'm gushing a little bit. So
You're getting
it's
tiny
a little
bit weird. But they've earned it.
Yeah, they have.
That's a cool thing. So part of what's fun about the time hanging out with you, but also this, is we just threw 300 people together in a parking lot, and y'all are really cool. It's just fun to listen in on the conversations, and it feels like we have a little bit of history together, and that's fun too. And I'm sure there are people out there who mostly just yell at our podcast and listen for the train wreck value, but not you, I think.
Can on behalf of everyone here, can I say thank you to the people of your church, Lander Evangelical Free Church?
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you very much.
I agree.
Yeah. It's you guys have been very hospitable. There's some rock stars like Jason.
Yeah. Jason did most of the cooking for you, coordinated that.
Yeah, he made that happen. Brett.
He shopped for you as well.
Brett
has been all over the place behind the scenes, lining up campsites and making sure. He thought of 50 things you and I didn't even think about, and just made the whole thing better. So he's been hospitable.
And Amy and Hannah, right? Is that right?
Heather.
Excuse me, Heather. I'm
Amy.
sorry.
Yep.
We just met yesterday.
Yeah.
So you guys have made everything happen. One more round for these guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, we need to.
Yeah, we need to. Okay, this is a legit podcast. And so we actually do have sponsors, and we've never done a live sponsor.
I've never done a live. I joke about it in church sometimes, but it's always fake.
So we got two. Yeah. So first of all, by the way, we're just going to banter. Feel free to go in and out as you need to. You got to go to the restroom. Feel free to do that.
Yeah.
Whatever. But we have two sponsors, and they're new. Ready? And so I'm going to let you do the first one.
Okay, thank you. Sounds good.
Yeah. Okay. So the first one is Bombfell.
Were you able to hear that?
So you get to explain what this is. So we've got we make things go around with the sponsors, and this is pretty cool. So would you like to explain what Bombfell is?
Okay, Bombfell is this company that I had heard of only once before they approached us, and I knew they did something with clothes, and specifically clothes for guys. And I also knew that they did some clever marketing because of the one ad that I heard that was targeted at women who might have some better ideas for what their gentleman might be wearing.
Okay, so let me just give some background here. When we went to the White House, and we did go to the White House together, you can't.
It sounds ridiculous on your self-invite.
It doesn't make any sense.
Okay,
but we went, and I was like, so Matt, so where are you coming from? He's like, well, we're on vacation. I'm going to be flying straight there. I was like, great. All right, cool. You got some nice clothes? He's like, no.
I got my Chacos and these swim trunks and this mesh tank top.
He's not
That's what
joking.
I wear on vacation.
He's not joking.
Yeah.
So we went shopping.
You got it.
We went shopping for you, at, what was that, a Belk or something like that? I don't even know. And we didn't know what we were doing.
No, there's a nice man who helped us, though. He was great.
His name was Opie. I think it was started with an O. It was
You're so close. And he was stationed in Cheyenne for a while, so we had some stuff in common. He was good at clothes.
So he helped us pick out clothes, and that's the only reason you look presentable at the White House.
Thanks for saying that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I kind of shaved and made my beard
So
more
explain
angular.
what this
I think
is
that
to
helped
people.
too. Okay, so Bombfell. Thanks for bringing that example up for no other punchline than I'm dressed poorly.
We're going to do this live on stage. You order clothes.
Okay, you talk while I open.
Okay, so it's a service where somebody learns who you are and they pick out clothes, and there's a stylist that they pick it out. And so Matt has no idea what's coming out of this, right?
But I just don't want to stab the clothes.
He doesn't want to stab the clothes. So he's going to open this, and this is something somebody made for him. And in Wyoming, you don't ever have to dress up. Is that true?
This is dressed up.
This is dressed up?
You kidding me? I look fantastic.
No,
I
but
got this T-shirt and these pants.
so what are we about to figure out here?
Okay. So what I did is I went on and I made I'll just hang on to it in case. I went on and I made a profile, and they asked a bunch of questions about what I'm into and how I dress and where I live and things like that. So I assume this is going to be a 10-gallon hat and Spurs. No, so I went through and explained the stuff, and it was really kind of fun to game it out. Camilla helped me with it, and we went through, and it's like, well, no, that's close. And so, but the idea is that you're not supposed to be able to have as easy an answer as, I dress like this, now send me more of what I already wear. The idea is that it's supposed to push you.
I'm just laughing because there's like a tailor's ruler thing in here.
What would I need that for?
I don't know if you know this, but your butt sticks out a lot. Did you know that?
Yeah, it's because of the muscles in it.
Okay, anyway. So anyway, keep going.
No, what are you driving at?
Just don't worry about it. Keep going.
Do you want to measure me?
No. No.
I don't want you to measure me.
Oh, these are actually pretty cool.
Oh, well, that's positive, since they're our sponsor. Well, they are pretty cool. All right, so yeah, I put in my dimensions. Hey, it worked. 30-inch inseam, that's hard to come by. So, I mean, I got these stumpy little legs, and I need pants that work right, or else I always get this phenomenon. Like, they cuff real bad, so I even explained that. You can write little notes in there, like, I do this and this. And so then I get a note back, and it's like, hi, I'm so-and-so, and I'm your personal stylist. I've never had one of those before, and so that made me feel pretty good. And then the personal stylist says a bunch of words about fashion that I don't understand. It's like, you're this and this and this. I'm like, okay, that could be. And then they said, here's the stuff we've picked, and we're going to send it. And so they sent me a picture of all of these things. So I didn't know what I was going to get. Wait, people who go to church here? Like that? That's a good call. Like, I would do that.
Oh.
That works great. I'm gonna unbutton that 4 buttons down. I'm going to roll up the sleeves.
3 buttons is the max. We talked about that.
We have not agreed on this.
Pants too long. Premium jeans and pants often come in a standard inseam, so you may need to get them tailored specifically if it's talking about your geometry. You're going to need this.
Oh, thanks. It's weird how that keeps coming up more than I'd like in one live podcast. And so at any rate, they said what was gonna show up, and they sent the thing. It took maybe 2 days, and we didn't open it because we were going to open it here. And now I have clothes, and guess what? I'm not going to try them on right now.
Yeah.
But later, I will. Y'all just you're not ready.
So if people want to get clothes from Bombfell, how do they do that?
Bombfell.com, and I think there's a /no-dumb-questions option.
It's either /no-dumb-questions or /NDQ.
We try to get both. We try to get both.
We did.
Yeah. So I think both work.
So if you want to try it, so here's how we do this on the live podcast. If you would like to go and support the sponsor, go to bombfell.com /no-dumb-questions.
Or bombfell.com /NDQ.
Boom, crushed it. I think we did it. Yeah, thank you very much. All right, so there's that.
And on the sponsorship thing, like obviously this exercise is weird because you're actually here. This is way easier when there's no one here and we just have microphones. Again, because you're here. But seriously, a whole bunch of you have jumped on and just supported sponsors, and that's a great way to support us. It means a lot. So
thank you very much.
Thank you.
I appreciate
Thank you,
everything
Bombfell,
you've
for
done
sponsoring
to
the show.
support No Dumb Questions. Thank you very much. How do you spell Bombfell?
Yeah, I totally know, and it's
BOMBFELL.
Why did I? that? This was a really poor choice.
I got it right in the wrong place. Yeah, I cut it in the wrong spot. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was you.
BOMBFELL.
Yes.
.com/NDQ.
Bueno.
All right. So moving on to the second section. Should we do that?
Before we get to the second section, let's make
oh.
this section 1A.
Okay.
What are your top 2 or 3 things that people need to know about how to watch the eclipse right tomorrow?
Oh, really? We're going to do that?
Just a little bit.
Okay.
Because you have a video, and the video is fantastic, and it's 2 minutes long, and it's crazy concise. Did you change the thumbnail?
I did change the thumbnail.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Because we had made a, what do we call it?
Blood Oath Covenant.
It's a blood oath covenant.
Right.
So it's not really alterable.
Right.
It's final
You have
and
to do that.
binding.
So I put an
But weirdly,
arrow
I
and
feel
a
like
circle.
sometimes only one of us really understands what a blood oath covenant is, because you did not put a red circle and an arrow on your eclipse.
I have remedied that. Sorry about that,
Thumbnail.
man. It's there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so raise
And
your hand
it's
if you're going to
pointing
go.
at nothing. It's just a stupid red circle for
It's
no
not pointing
reason.
at anything. I just did it. Raise your hand if you're going to watch the eclipse tomorrow.
Why would anybody not?
Some people, I don't know. That guy over there on the far right did not raise his hand. I don't know what's up. True or false? You did not raise your hand. Yeah, true. See? I don't know.
And maybe you have to
That's
work?
why I asked.
I
I'm just
don't-
not talking to that guy right now. All
Okay.
right, so raise your hand if you're going to photograph the eclipse. Okay, a few of you. That's great. So that means that some people in here have made the decision that they're going to experience it. They're going to just feel it, right? They're going to see how it makes them feel. Other people are going to try to photograph it. There's certain things you need to know on both sides of that, right? So first of all, you have to know what's called the contact times, C1, C2, C3, C4. You came to Wyoming. You should know that by now, okay? So wherever you go, it's not sufficient just to get into the path of totality. Right here where we're at in the path, I forget how much time it is. It's like a minute and a half right here.
$1.30, that's nice.
Minute and a half is pretty good. If you go a little bit north, closer into the actual path of totality, you
Thank
can
you
get...
for making more traffic for us.
You're welcome. You can get a little more time on the totality. So you all know that. You're here, obviously. So this is what you're going to want to do. You're going to want to find your spot, and everyone needs to have the appropriate eye protection. Wear your protection, your eyeglasses, your filters, or whatever you have. Wear it at all times except between C2 and C3. During that time, you can take your glasses off. In fact, you're encouraged to.
And that means the whole dang thing's covered.
Yes, the lunar disk is over the solar disk.
Yeah.
At that point, yeah. The only thing that you're seeing around it is the corona, which is something we can't really see most of the time. So that's really a unique thing.
First time that was reported, recorded, drawn, etched out in some way, 7th century BC.
BC.
Yeah. Some Greek guy accurately predicted the date of an eclipse.
What?
And then also people recorded for the first time that they could see what people thought, what we now think of as maybe even a different form of matter
Around the sun.
around the sun.
And it was plasma. Yeah. So they were right.
How about that? You know something else is interesting about that?
No, I don't. Go ahead.
Nah, it wasn't actually that interesting.
No,
it is
I-
interesting.
I don't know. You said, do you know
Oh, wait,
something else? Whatever.
we can't edit that out,
Yeah, okay, we can't. We would
which
normally
means
do
we
that.
can check the record later.
Go ahead.
So he predicted, I think it was Thales that predicted the eclipse, and there was a war going on between the Lydians, those are the people of like modern day Turkey, and the Medes, half of the Medo-Persian Empire, when all of that stuff was getting settled.
Yeah.
And the eclipse happened during a 5-day battle
No way.
between these two sides, and they called it off. Fifth
What?
day, this eclipse happens, and they're like, that doesn't seem normal. Maybe this is an agreement between the gods of the Medes and the gods of the Lydians, the Greek gods, to say, hey, knock it off.
Really?
So they made an armistice, and it lasted for like 6 years. That's pretty good for back then.
That's really good.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And so, wow. Okay, so speaking of that, the odds of that happening. Okay, so just outside, for people that are here physically and not listening, we've got these posters. If you want one, we've got a whole stack of them. They're free right out there on a table. This is a stack up of all of the total and annular solar eclipses that are going to happen between 2015, which was in the past,
Yeah.
to 2040.
Which is in the future.
It's in the future.
Yeah.
And so what's really interesting about that is you'll notice the majority of them are annular eclipses, which means the lunar disk doesn't completely cover the solar disk, and you can see a ring of the sun around the moon because, you know, the moon comes in and out, right?
Yeah.
It's an elliptical orbit. Anyway, if you want one of those, go check it out. But I think it's fascinating to see that there's not very many of those total solar eclipses. There's going to be one really close to my hometown in the 2024 timeframe. I'm excited about that. I'm really excited about this one, though. Thank you for having us. So, totality. So during totality, if you're taking photographs, 20 seconds before totality, you're going to want to pop your filter off. And then you can take a picture of the diamond ring and Bailey's beads, okay? And then 30
Bailey's
seconds.
beads are those tiny little circles that go all the way around the edge.
Exactly. That's because there's mountains on the moon, and they're going to cut the sun. There's mountains on the moon.
I'm sure you've told me that, but I didn't remember. That's awesome.
Yeah. And so the last thing is the shadow bands, or what I call shadow snakes, may happen 30 seconds before C2. If you're looking at the eclipse right here, they're going to be coming over your right shoulder. You're going to see the eclipse coming from that direction. So as it's going down, it's coming from this direction behind you, so you can kind of look and you can see the darkness coming. And then at the same, is that right? I think that's right. Yeah, the eclipse is coming from that side. And then on the ground in front of you, that's where you're going to see the shadow snakes. That's my understanding of how
some of you have seen the video, so you know what he's talking about with the shadow snakes thing. But if I understand correctly, there is this phenomenon that I think our first written record is from an eclipse in the 18th century.
I'm not sure about that.
I think it was the 1700s. And there was a description of these very distinct, like black serpent-looking
shadows
things that the children watching the eclipse were so sure were there that they went and played among them.
They tried to
So not sneaky, but like they were trying to catch them and grab them.
Right.
Now, of course, the people of the past were much stupider than us, so they may have just not known what to do.
Because we are superior.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No, it's something to think about. So just know what you're going to do. It goes really, really fast. Have a plan. My whole goal for the eclipse, obviously I'm going to try to video it and things like that. But I remember Halley's Comet back in the 80s.
I sat in my backyard and watched that with my dad.
Did you?
In Maquoketa, Iowa.
I was with my
vividly.
dad and my grandfather, and we were at a neighbor's telescope. And I don't remember much but seeing a blur in the sky and being with my grandfather and my dad. So my goal...
So the blur, blah, 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 grandfather and dad.
Right.
That's what stood out.
That's what stood out.
Yeah.
And so my entire goal is to be within earshot of my little ones. And so when it actually goes down, I want to burn that memory into their mind. Oh, do you remember that time the sun got blotted out and I was by my mom and dad? That's what I want to do. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm in Lander. So anyway, that's what I'm thinking about. So anyway.
It wasn't for the fish?
Wasn't for the fish. That's it. That's all I have about the eclipse.
Okay.
Any questions? Is that good?
That's good. That's
Can
good.
we move along?
Are we good on the eclipse?
Good.
Okay.
Okay.
Pretty much the sun gets blocked. Look at it. I'm here to help. That's the simple version.
What I do think is really cool is everything is collinear. And the fact that it happened right here in your town and brought me to you, that's really cool. I think
there's one detail that we're not going to talk about here.
Yeah.
But there's like a bonus detail that fits in about
stupid. That's absolutely
like
stupid.
how we're viewing it and where we were able to do that and the setup that we got. The bottom line is there's a decent chance that even if we weren't friends and didn't know each other,
it's possible.
You still would have showed up
in your hometown.
In my hometown.
It's possible.
Weird.
Okay, so here we go. We're going to do some questions. These are questions from the audience. And so this is cool. We don't do this very often, right? We've done a grabbler before, but let's see. Okay, so we've got some rocks here. That's for you.
Thank you.
Yep, I've got a rock as well. All right, so here, I'm going to hand you some. And I'll take some as well. I cut those in half. I'm sure they were in order, but that doesn't really matter anymore.
I already like where this is going. This was a good idea.
Okay. All right. So, question number 1. This is from Terry, by the way, from Sandy, Utah. You hear Terry?
Oh, yeah, I met Terry. Brought some family.
All right.
Brought some family.
Very
Here we
good.
go. Yep.
Thank you guys for coming. How does a pastor from Wyoming and a rocket scientist from Alabama get together and form a podcast duo? First of all, I'm not allowed to say I'm a rocket scientist. My mother told me that.
I'm glad you corrected that.
Yeah, I'm not allowed to say that.
What if you become a brain surgeon?
That's right.
Will you be allowed to say that?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I called my mom after the master's. I defended my thesis, and I walked out and I picked up the phone. I was like, "Mom, I just defended my thesis. I've got a master's degree in rocket propulsion. You know what that means, right?" And she was quiet. And I was like, "Mom, I'm a rocket scientist." And she goes, "And?" And I was like, "I understand. I will never say that again."
I got done with my seminary degree, and I defended my thesis. And I called my dad, and I was like, "I defended my thesis. Now I'm a seminary graduate."
Well, Well, the point was, what Mom was doing is she was taking my feet and she was putting them firmly back on the ground. And this something, I mean, I knew this after undergraduate, but like the fact you get a piece of paper that says you have an education means jack squat. The education comes from life, right? And so I don't know, I've learned that the more I learn, the less I know, obviously, is cliche.
Which is a mark of learning. And it's also why you constantly use that thinkers and doers phrase
Yeah, I think so.
that I like.
Okay, Matt, how did we get together to form a podcast duo?
You pestered me repeatedly on Twitter.
Yeah. I should have known from the very beginning you weren't even answering my tweets to begin with. I did. I found Matt, and I saw what he was doing with the 10-minute Bible hour, and I really liked it, and I thought it was good. And I could tell that he was doing it for the right reasons because the numbers weren't that great at the time.
Oh, but they're great now.
Yeah.
Dozens of people depend on the 10-minute Bible hour for snarky, subpar humor about the Bible with average biblical content.
Another thing is Matt's mom has apparently got better at coding.
Yeah.
She's developed several bots to watch your videos.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
All right, your turn. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, long story short, like, we're talking about completely different things, but we're having conversations all the time on the phone, and you've always got, I don't know, you all have this, the one or two people who, when you have a bunch of windshield time, we talked about this in one episode, who you call for no other reason than, yeah, it's fun to talk to this person, and we think about things, and it usually goes somewhere good. Like, Adam's here too. He's the other person on the call when I'm bored list.
Windshield time.
Windshield time peer phone call list.
And we thought, we had a conversation one time and we both ended up crying. We were in laughing fits and we were like, why are we not recording this? It's great.
Yeah.
So thank you for the question.
We figured it'd be fun. This one goes a little bit deeper. Maybe I should save it for later. No, I'm going to ask you.
Okay.
And if it's an emotional response, I think that's okay. Maybe we can hit a funnier one next.
Okay. Yep. Ready?
Ed from Boulder asks,
Ed?
yeah, is a hot dog a sandwich?
No, it's not a sandwich.
Controversy.
It's not a sandwich. And you should cook it in a toaster. Have you ever done that? Go to your toaster.
He snaps me every time he makes A, fried bologna, B, toasts hot dogs in the toaster, and C, puts like Cheese Whiz on oysters.
Yeah. It's a thing my dad and I did. All of our family, we had to take Ritz crackers, smoked oysters on top, and then Louisiana hot sauce, and there's some cheese on there. It's awful, but I do it because it makes me think of childhood. My sister's in the back. Can you verify? It's delicious. See, my sister verified it's delicious.
I eat my macaroni and cheese with sugar on top, but I don't tweet you.
All right, here we go. This is Andres from Rocky River, Ohio. I wonder if this is the Andres from
Ohio?
Yeah.
Yes, that's the Andres.
The Andres, the guy that sent us the 50-cent pieces.
I don't remember if it was him or not.
Yeah, not sure. All right, so Destin and Matt, how many Leatherman tools have you lost to the TSA? Also, what is the plural of Leatherman? Oh. Wow.
Hands for leather men. Hands for leather mans.
Leathermans.
I think it'd be, I have like 8 leathermans.
Yeah, so do you
That's
have one
pushing
on
me.
you, Matt?
No, I do not.
So what's the answer if the question is like, do you have a knife? What would you, if I say, hey, Matt, I need to open this thing on stage. Do you have a knife? What is the answer?
The answer is right now I have nothing because I left my keys in the truck. No, but if the question were, do you have an L-Care stimulator fly cast in amber that you could smash for emergency if you needed to catch a fish?
For fly fishing?
The answer is yes, I do.
Oh, fantastic. Well, my children could tell you, if somebody asks you for a knife, what do you say? Do I have pants on?
Do I?
Matt, ask me if I have a knife. Do I have
Destin,
pants
do you
on?
have a knife?
Do I have pants on?
Yeah.
Because I have a knife.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm impressed.
That's how that works. And that's a really good question. In all seriousness, when I was in Sierra Leone, they saw me take my knife off and put it in my luggage, and they stole it from me. And I actually have a grudge against the nation of Sierra Leone because they saw me put my.
I totally understand.
Yeah, you get it.
I go to Zambia sometimes.
Yeah.
There's one lady in customs who knows me, And she also knows that because where I work in Zambia, I mean, the food is it's sketchy. Like there's this stuff called shima that you eat. It's like mushed up slime stuff. And I do it, but then there's also live minnows. I'm not into that.
You're supposed to eat it?
Yeah.
Oh.
And so like, it's hard for me. I get hungry as the week goes along because I can only do the live minnows thing like once.
Yeah.
And then I'm out. And so I just pack a bonus bag of horrible American food. And one time she wanted to inspect my bag. I was like, I don't know why, but okay. And I opened it up and there was a thing of those Twizzler pulling peels on top. She's like, you're free to go, but I really like pulling peels. And I was like, okay, but I'm free to go. I really like pulling peels.
Really? You'd bribe someone through customs with candy?
You like these pulling peels? I'm not allowed to accept gifts. It's not a gift. I just wanted to leave it here.
Well played, sir. Well played.
And then every year, she would ask. She remembered that I was pulling peel guy, and I would go to Walmart and buy her a bag of pulling peels, and every year I went, she got a bag of pulling peels.
I don't
off
know
of me.
if I'm proud of her from remembering or I'm angry that it's kind of bribey.
Whatever. That's light bribey.
Yeah, it's light bribey. All right, so this one's also pretty deep.
Okay.
This is from Chad from Lander. Thank you
I know
so
him.
much. Yeah, he's the music guy here at your church, right?
Yeah, we're friends.
This is going to be deep and spiritual because
We're really good friends.
he works at your church.
He wouldn't.
Matt, tell us about that rash. I really like people from Wyoming.
I'm thinking of a.
He's high-fived in the back. I saw him high-five.
I was thinking of a different Chad.
Oh.
I'm not friends with that one.
Okay. So the rash, Matt.
Well, a steady diet of ointment.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
What about
yeah.
with the crust?
Well, what you're going to want to do is swap your trousers once or twice a day, or you'll have a little bleed through.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Go, keep going. Next question.
You asked. Destin, question.
Yes, sir.
From Adam and Elizabeth Hagland.
This is real. We're actually doing this.
No, this is going terribly. How many divine beasts have you completed on Breath of the Wild?
Excellent question. The answer is 0 at this point. Hold on. But I like doing the other little things. I like going around and investigating the environment, you know, and
Yeah.
it's really cool. But I haven't got to any of the divine beasts yet.
I try to play it like Skyrim.
Yeah,
Explore the world,
yeah.
randomly mutilate people.
If you see a fish,
But they don't care. You can't mutilate people in
if you
this game.
see a fish in the water in Zelda, do you jump after it every time?
If there's fish in the water in any game,
Yeah,
I'm out. I
do the
just
same
chase
thing.
fish around.
It's really good. All right, so this one is from Ben from South Dakota. Ben says, what do you do to avoid wasting time? Ben doesn't know us. How do you define wasted time?
Wasted time.
Yeah.
If there are people involved, I rarely feel like it's wasted.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. So like I make an investment for Smarter Everyday videos, for example. Like I will spend a lot of time working on those, a lot of time, and I will I'll neglect my family at sometimes, which is unfortunate. Neglect isn't the word.
Makes you appreciate those Smarter Every Month comments.
I love those. Those are my favorite.
I'm the first one to think of that.
What does the dumb guy always have a southern accent in your?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Why does the dumb guy always have a northern accent when you do it? No, when you do it, the dumb guy has an even more southern
does.
accent. He told a story today. And I can't tell you the story.
Wasted
But in the story
time.
today, he's talking about his dad and somebody, and his dad is like, "Sir, I have a few things I'd like to say to you." And the other guy's like, it's indiscernible.
So to answer your question about wasted time, this would be a perfect example. We've got a stack of questions here, and we're going to move on now.
Oh, is that what's going to happen?
Yeah.
No, I feel like
I hate it when you push me into a corner and you're right. I hate that. I really do. Go ahead.
sometimes I feel that pay to play, not free to play, but premium freemium games on the phone, those can feel waste of timey. I got a game that I play on the phone, and it's cool, if I use it to clear the palate of my brain for the
Yeah.
next thing,
Yeah.
or shut off the brain to sleep, but more than a couple rounds of that thing, and I start feeling like, there's got to be something else I can do, but then you're kind of in.
Right.
I don't like that. I can get to dumb places. Do you have a phone game you play?
It was Plants vs. Zombies for a while.
Yeah,
but
the second one?
I kind of quit that. I just listen to podcasts and audiobooks now. That's just what I do.
What audiobook are you listening to now?
Audiobook, I just listened to Steve Martin's Born Standing Up. It's a very different book, but I just listened to that, and I finished Devil in the White City, of course, which we're going to do an episode on, which should be very interesting. You might listen to Devil in the White City? Yeah,
that's pretty good.
That'll be interesting.
Right.
Thanks to both of you. So
They
yeah.
were all my mom.
your mom.
Oh, there was the two people. Yeah,
All right, I think you're up.
I think I am. Our wives picked these questions for us. Anthony from Vancouver asks, do you ever drive your wife crazy?
Yes. Yes, at all times. At all times. My wife is, and I've observed this in your wife too, they are the masters of being able to just multitask. In fact, Gavin and Dan from the Slow Mo guys were in town the other day, and he turns to me and goes, your wife is amazing at multitasking. I mean, it's incredible.
How come all the people who are impressed with your wife always have an Australian accent?
I don't know. She kind of likes it, though. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I think it's cool that we have wives who understand.
I really like that. I think it's amazing.
I have a cadence to the way I talk. It's Christopher Walken
That was
like.
a pause for dramatic effect.
I think it worked.
Great.
We are both dumb and vain enough to think it would be a good idea to point a camera at ourselves and say things into it because someone might find it useful.
It was weird. Yeah, it is.
And our wives are enormously tolerant of that.
Yeah. And
honestly,
does your wife have the mama bear thing? Like when people are rude to you?
Like she'll rip people apart who might hurt our kids?
She wants to, well, that obviously, but like on the internet, like if people are extra special rude, she wants to fix it, like in a way that usually involves missiles.
I don't have any corollary in my
okay.
line of work.
I was just wondering.
Yeah, we got nothing.
All right, so I got one from Trenton Peters from Layton, Utah. I should have read this before I read it. What is the favorite / funniest thing you know about your co-host that you haven't talked about on the podcast? What?
Oh.
Dude.
We're going to have a little standoff here, aren't we? Maybe if we went one word at a time.
I don't know that I have.
We could figure out which one we're going to go with.
I don't know that I
outed you for the fried bologna already.
You fried bologna. Favorite / funniest thing. Okay, favorite. I'll go favorite. That's a safe route. I really do like that you'll call me every once in a while, and don't compliment me back because that'd just be weird.
I'm not going to.
Okay, but I really do like that you'll call me sometime and you're like, hey, this huge thing just happened in a relationship that I have, and you don't tell me I'm not in your social sphere, so I don't know, but you'll be like, this amazing thing happened and this person's life is going to change for the better. And it's like a little bitty thing that required 20 hours of investment on your part, and then this person made a decision from I'm going to do something and I'm going to try really hard to support my family in this way, or whatever it is. You'll call me every once in a while, and that is the most pumped I ever hear you. You are extremely pumped when you say, I invested all this time and it's going to pay off because this one life that nobody's ever going to know about, and I'm telling you in Alabama because you don't have any knowledge of this. That's my favorite thing about you. That's good.
I can't compliment you back?
No, can't.
Because now anything I say is going to look dumb.
No, you can't. Just read your question. Just take it. Just know how to accept a compliment.
Can I compliment him back so I don't look stupid? Would that be okay?
No.
Thank you.
No. There were clearly more no's than yes.
Mom said yes 11 times. I'm not, that tilted it. Thank you.
You're welcome. I appreciate that. Yeah. Very good, Matt. Thank you. All right, Matt, next
No. We're not good at this. This is hard. We compliment each other by ridiculing each other in ways that are absurd, so that one gets it was a comment or a compliment. Your video was terrible. Everybody hated it. It provided no value to the world. That means you won the internet. That's the best video about the eclipse on the internet. Great job, dude. He knows.
Yeah. I
like that you're super smart and that you don't try to score points with it. I respect that every time you ask for an opinion, and even sometimes when you don't, you will let me speak into your life, even though I could be wrong. And rather than being argumentative about it, you appreciate that somebody's trying to make themselves useful.
Okay, cool.
I think that's cool.
Let's fist bump and go to the next
Now
question.
let's get on with it.
All right, so
I feel really weird.
this is from Ben Price from Gilbert, Arizona. Ben Price? I heard a squeak. Does Chuck Norris need special eclipse glasses to watch the eclipse? These are the questions that we need to be tackling on this podcast.
I don't know why we're wasting time on North Korea.
Yeah, it's dumb. Does he need special glasses?
I'm insulted. You
Or does
asked.
the eclipse watch Chuck Norris? I think we're done with that question. Yep. All right.
Troy Weatherly from Ladner, BC.
Yeah, they were confused because when they came here, they're like, we're driving from Ladner to Lander.
We said the exact same thing when we drove through Ladner. What's your favorite podcast besides Hello Internet? That's everyone's favorite podcast, nothing personal.
Yeah, okay. All right.
That's what it says.
It's what it says.
It says literally. That's everyone's favorite podcast, nothing personal.
Okay,
No, I'm
cool.
good.
I can
I'm
accept
fine with
that.
that. It's a very good podcast.
We're not trying to be the best, but I mean,
No.
we would never do that.
We're trying to be like fourth.
I'm a big fan of Radiolab. So Robert Krulwich, does everybody listen to Radiolab? Jad and Robert? So Robert Krulwich, he spoke into my life, as you would say, at one point in time. He gave me a call, and we had a phone conversation, and he's an amazing person. And he is so amazing. He really is. And I really value that man and what he has to say on the podcast. So Radiolab, listen to it.
This is a super predictable answer, but I really like the serial stuff. I know everyone else on Earth does too, but that story, season 1, about the
I actually haven't listened to it.
The murders in Baltimore, or the murder in Baltimore.
Is it good?
And just following, it's Sarah Koenig is the gal behind it, associated with NPR. And in just terms
She's
of
freaking out on the front.
what? Yes. Okay. Well,
Okay.
Wow, I've realized I've been really facing this.
Yeah.
Can I trade you?
Yeah, let's do it.
Thank you.
Okay.
What's up?
Got it. Boy, that's very
It
different.
really is. It really is.
It really is.
Yeah, they're on my side now.
Okay.
We've been making a lot of eye contact. It's going to be hard for you from here on out.
All right. You had more light the whole time.
Yeah. Well, it's home turf. I'm familiar with the angles.
Okay. So, first of all, this is from Thomas in Ohio. Matt, if you were going to take over the world, how would you start? I'm just curious. Winky face emoji.
Oh, it's winky face.
Winky face.
Okay, so how would I not actually do it?
Yeah,
But let's
because
do it.
you actually probably have a good idea on how you could do it.
Yeah, that's what I spend most of my free time thinking about
Yeah.
while I'm playing that game and everything. If I was going to take over the world, I would start by conquering Australia and then Siam. And I would pile all my troops in Siam while everybody else kills each other, and I just sit there and build up.
Would you go up into Asia and like try to take over Asia?
Never get involved in a land war in Asia?
So you're
How can you not know?
obviously talking about Axis and allies. Serious question.
No, I'm talking about risk.
If
If you're talking about Axis and allies, here's what I do.
I'm so sorry. You were
First
talking
thing,
about risk.
first move, no matter what, no matter how tempting it is to stay parked over there and build up your fleet, you have to do Pearl Harbor if you're Japan. They will be back at, the USA makes too much stuff, and they will funnel things into Hawaii, and you will never get ahead. You got to play the first turn just like all the actual
Really?
sides played it, or you're out.
Really?
Absolutely. And if you're Russia, start pulling back. You can't handle Germany. Their panzers are too much. Get back to Moscow, stockpile, wait for the other allies.
You dude, like I can tell when you're
I mean it.
Okay, yeah.
Do you want to win at Axis and allies?
Yeah. Okay.
I'm telling the
All right,
truth.
Your turn. Read a question.
No, what's your
Matt.
plan to take over the world? Oh, wait, missiles?
No.
Okay, it seems like you'd have access. I don't know.
No. I have no plans. So I have no plans to take over the world.
Sweet.
I'm looking.
Oh, this is fun.
If you were going to, okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
It's just very simple. This is from Kyle in Austin, Texas.
Who was that from? Thomas in Ohio. I said that. Go ahead.
Favorite Bible story?
Bible story. Shamgar's pretty good.
You want to tell him about Shamgar? Because it's
In
pretty awesome.
Judges, Shamgar is pretty good. Because he starts
Some
taking out
people
people.
use swords. Some people maybe use spears.
Not Shamgar. He used the ox goad. And he stood on a pile of dead bodies and just started it was pretty good. In the Judges, there's some crazy. As a young boy, I used to read 1st and 2nd Samuel and Judges a lot because there was a lot of battles.
Because when you're a kid and you read Judges, you're like, wow, everybody gets killed. This is great.
Yeah, it's like Game of Thrones.
Dad be preaching, and I'd be like, I think I pretty much get the Jesus stuff. Let's get back to the killing. This way I'll look like I'm, reading the Bible and everything.
Your dad just where did I go wrong? I can see him. You guys can't see him. He's like, oh, God, it's not how you do. Okay, that's great. I enjoyed
Dad was very good at very good at
What's
the
your
preaching
favorite?
thing, but it's hard when you know that right back here there's stabbing.
What's your favorite? Serious answer.
I like Judges 19. Now you got to understand, when I say I like these stories, it's because these stories are not in any way like an idea of what you ought to go and do.
Right.
Like they're a cautionary tale about how awful things were at this point. So as a negative example, I really like Judges 19. That's about the civil war in Israel.
Okay.
When that guy had a concubine, he was traveling real late into the night to go to presumably an event just like this, but he got stuck somewhere and he had to stay at somebody's house. And then some people came and they were like, we want to kill some people. And he's like, oh, not me, take my concubine. And so she ends up getting killed. And the guy's like, oh, well, I'm just going to send those body parts all over the country and then we'll just have a civil war over it. And everybody gets really mad.
What?
And they have a giant civil war. You don't remember this?
I don't.
It's a Benjamite war. It's at the end of Judges.
Really?
And again, if you read that as, wow, the Bible gives me lots of great ideas for things I could do, you're reading it wrong. If you read it as, oh, wow, they were weird and screwed up then too, it makes a ton of sense. And if you're 12 and a boy,
Well,
might I recommend Judges 19?
Personally, a lot of the Bible is like that.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it is.
It's weird. It's like people liked killing each other back then too.
Matt or Destin, this is from Aaron from Lander. If you had to choose another career, not something you've ever done, what would it be? I really liked manufacturing. Well, I guess that would be engineering. Machinist is something I always
You liked your first job.
I do a lot.
You had a cool first job.
I do have a cool first job.
So what I'm doing here is I've got a softball,
Yeah.
a verbal softball, and what I'm doing is I'm lobbing it to you.
Yeah?
And then what you're supposed to do is I threw it real slow. You're going to want to hit it.
I really enjoy my first job. Is that what I'm supposed to do? What? What job?
Thank you, Mom.
What? What is my job?
What was the job that you liked that was your first job that was so fun?
The job I have now? I'm
No, when you worked at Little Debbie. It's when you worked at Little Debbie.
Little Debbie. Yes. I worked as a process manufacturing engineer at Little Debbie Snack Cakes. And, you got to understand, there was a conveyor belt full of, nutty bars, or whatever they call them, coming along. And this was before optical processors were really, really fast. And there was a lady named Deborah. Remember her name? She wasn't Deborah McKee.
I'll optically process those nutty bars.
She stood on a chair. She had a really high chair that stood up over everybody else. And she had a really long rod with a hook on it. And she would sit there and watch her. And she would gossip. And she was gossiping to Janice over here the whole time. And every once in a while, she would take that hook with this thing and she'd go, whoosh, and she would stab that nutty bar that was a defect through the heart. And she would tap it off into a tray. And then she would just keep talking to Janice. It was amazing. It was like samurai sword stuff. Anyway, so at the Little Debbie plant, do you know that I've always wanted to do a Smarter Every Day in the Little Debbie plant? McKee Foods is what it's called in Collegedale, Tennessee. And so everybody know zebra cakes? Hexagons? It's called tessellations, MC Escher art. Really good at that. You make a sheet of cake and you make the maximum amount of cakes out of it possible. So the zebra cake, you with me?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's chocolate drizzle, and there's one motor. You turn the motor, and it moves these nozzles back and forth. And as the thing's coming along, it's a sine wave. The same device, same line. They flip one switch. They activate another axis to make it a circle. Fancy cakes.
No.
I know you don't care, but I do. It's amazing.
Does this look like the face of someone who does not care?
What was really cool is the engineers.
You're changing my life.
The engineers I'm very passionate about this.
How can I not like fancy
I worked
cakes?
on the Cosmic Brownie line because we had an issue with the Cosmic Brownies because the topping distribution method on top of the brownies, It wasn't even. And so engineers couldn't say like, hey man, our sprinkles are clumped up.
How come all the dumb people sound like they're Southern?
So what they would say is these engineers would sit in the room and they would be like, our topping distribution method,
I like
we
that
have an
better.
issue
Okay,
with
sure.
mass flow. And I think if we have more of a vibratory oscillation on the funnel, we
Perhaps
could really
that would make a
distribute it."
difference.
Yeah, they did that for hours. And my major contribution to Little Debbie Snack Cakes is when they were converting the Rice Krispie Cakes line, which they cut with ultrasonic knives, no joke. We wanted to transition that to a cranberry cereal bar line, and the problem was the cranberries would clump up the ultrasonic knives, and so we had to go with the pizza cutter method. So I designed the motor drive to do that, and it was amazing. It was great. Yeah. I was excited about it as an intern, and you know if you have an internship, a lot of times they don't give you like a real job, and so every time they gave me the fake job, I would knock it out real quick and be like, okay, I want to go do something cool, and so I'd go down into the research and development department wherever I was. And I would do cool stuff. I went too deep in that.
No, you see how it works is socially, there's this expression where I lob you a softball,
Okay.
and then you're supposed to do that.
Okay, thanks. Well, you knew that about me. They didn't know that about you.
That was fun. That was fun.
Thanks.
If I could do something else,
Yeah, what would you do?
I like media. I like acting and writing and stuff like that. That's fun.
You'd be an actor?
Not a good one.
You actually write. We've never talked about this.
Well, I mean,
You write
stuff.
screenplays about things and
stuff.
yeah. And Matt has an idea. We can't talk about this. You have an idea for a book that would be amazing, but I think you're going to have to do it under a pseudonym.
I think given the title I have landed on, it will require a pseudonym for vocational continuation. It's a really
Chad
good
might be
book.
able to help you with the title.
Chad's all over it. It's a really good book, but if it sounds like church, even though it would be helpful to everybody, nobody's going to read it. So it needs to sound not like church.
Golly, I wish we could talk about it.
By Destin Sandlin.
All right, okay. All right, you're up. You're up.
Josiah Pennywhistle.
That's right. Fox Thunder Glare. Go ahead.
With 2 X's. I recently just finished my PhD in nursing.
Whoa.
This is from Matt Peters.
Wait. A PhD in nursing. So you're a doctor nurse? How does that work? What?
Nurse doctor. Nurse doctor.
Nurse
That sounds
doctor?
right
Is
when
this
you
your
say it like that.
question? You're embarrassed now. No.
Like
Nurse-
life pro tip, you're gonna want to like lean over to a buddy, and then be like, say nurse doctor, and then they yell it out.
That's how
And
that
then we're like,
works.
this is your thing, and he's like,
Nurse
and
doctor.
then we just move on.
Wow. Okay.
Congratulations, that is a ton of work.
That's a big deal.
Ton of work.
Yeah.
Do you,
Congratulations.
so do you defend something you write when you do a PhD in nursing, or do you have like an extra set of classes, the internship kind of thing? How does that work? Awesome.
Defend a dissertation.
What was yours on?
Feedback. We should do a podcast on that.
I feel like he knew.
I think he's setting this up. I bet if you read the rest of the question, go ahead.
Are you trying to coach me?
No,
Okay.
I'm reading your mind.
This was one of the 40%.
Yeah, it is.
I recently just finished my PhD in nursing. The more I learn helps me understand how little I know and strengthens my faith in God. How do you explain this phenomenon?
How do I explain it? Yeah, I find that there's tremendous order in the universe. We're gonna see an eclipse tomorrow. There's a lot of order that goes into that. Personally, and I don't talk about this on Smarter Every Day or anything like that, but the more I learn, I found that for me personally, there's a surface level understanding that you can have. And then I found that a lot of people, once they get that surface level understanding, just like me walking out of defending my thesis and calling my mom and telling her how smart I was, they get to that level and they stop. And then at that point, there's this, what's the word? The ego comes in. What's that word?
You rest on your laurels after that?
Yeah, I think so. And then you start repeating things that sound smart, like certain popular people say things, and you spent time on Reddit, you know what I'm trying to say. But then I found that when I go one step deeper than that, on whatever the topic is, personally, I found that it's far more complex and far more orderly than I ever could have imagined. DNA, a video coming up on DNA. It's binary data storage is what it is. Fantastic. It's amazing. And so I have found that the deeper I go, the more complex and the more orderly things seem to me.
I don't study that world nearly as much, and we use different types of inquiry. Your inquiry is the type that involves repetition. You study physical things that can be repeated and broken down, and because of that repetition, you can do different things to the same process again and again to eliminate variables and figure out what a thing is and how it works. I can't. I study history. I study ideas and abstractions. I study theology. So the nature of my inquiry is different. I have to ask questions about how people think. How were they wired? How would an original audience have understood this?
Context.
What is the evidence, historical context, all of this stuff. And mine's more like piecing together a case in a courtroom, trying to reestablish what happened with some degree of certainty or credibility. And the thing that keeps humbling me on this is that you get to a place where you think you know the history of what everybody thought about everything forever. And then you dig 1 zillimeter deeper and you realize that each individual in this enormous chain of people who make up a world of thought, a history of thought, is tremendously complicated. Did the person who wrote that book think the same thing when they were 28 as they did when they were 38 and published the book? What about when they were 48 and renounced it? What about the major, huge world event that happened when that person turned 58 and now she doesn't think that anymore at all? It is so, the whole story is so dynamic and so moving, but history, as we talk about a lot here, has this flattening effect, where the further back in history you look, the more you tend to just want to generalize it. You know how Rome was, that 1400-year thing. It was all like this.
People, it's like laziness. Is that the word?
Well, I don't know. You want to sound credible, but something that's a long time ago. So what do you say? You chime in with what you know.
I found the same thing in engineering, because if I understand one thing about a process, I'll fall back on it always. And it's not until I go deeper do I reveal my own ignorance. You saying it's the same way with history?
Yeah. And the more you dig, the more you realize, I don't know what that author thought. I know what that author thought when they wrote that paragraph. I don't know what motivated those people to do that thing. I just know that they did the thing, and there are 50 different mysterious elements that add up to that behavior. The more you ask the questions, the more you realize, I don't know, but there was a smart friend I had who said that claiming ignorance was a privilege that you could only have when you'd put in the work. To just say, well, I don't know. Well, do you not know because you didn't bother to look it up? Like, you get to the limits of knowledge, and then you can claim ignorance. And then it gets fun because you sit and talk with people about the unknown or the barely known, and you game it out together and work it out together. And those people are fun. And the people who know all this stuff, they're not as much
very
fun. Yeah,
They hang out on Reddit a lot. That's an excellent question. It makes me think deep things. I appreciate that.
that's a good question.
Monica, let's see. Monica asked, what is buffalo in Spanish?
Buffalo. It's buffalo in Italian.
Well done. Excellent.
We were in Italy and we were looking at that. And we were like, buffalo. And everybody's like, is that buffalo? Like,
We're going to go with it.
I think so. I mean, the context looks like it, except this is cheese. I'm pretty sure buffalo's meat. They got a buffalo cheese. Now I know.
Your turn.
Yep. Destin.
Yes.
So this one is for you.
Yep.
I'm going to go with wrecked my brain. Oh, I was going to say baboon. It's balloon. I'm sorry, the light's low. You wrecked my brain with your balloon. Oh, in the van video.
Yeah.
I never put it together like that. What was the last thing that wrecked your brain like that?
Oh, man. The last thing that wrecked my brain? Oh, man, I don't know.
Was it snow fences?
That was hard. Clearly, I didn't understand it. I
The
look at
snow fence really did do to your brain what the balloon did to all of our brains when we watched your video. Okay, quick context. Made a video. This is the first one I ever saw of yours. Loaded up the kids in the van and you tied a balloon to a stationary point in the van.
Right.
And then you drove around and it did the exact opposite of everything I thought it should do.
Right.
And I decided then and there that I wouldn't put up with being humiliated like that and we would be blood enemies.
Blood enemies to the death, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I look at it's just like how I look at the world. Like I try to understand the next level deeper in everything I see. And it's like I'm not going to say curse, but it's just the way my brain works. And so I can wreck my brain pretty easily on pretty much everything. These rocks here in Wyoming, have you noticed how they're stacked up? You'll have it's just a huge boulder, and then it looks like somebody took this 25-ton rock and just set it on top of the other one. What? A hoodoo?
Hoodoo?
It's a hoodoo.
What
It's called a hoodoo.
Who did?
What? You're wrecking my brain, lady. That's wild. I think what we should do, Matt, is I think we should do the last sponsor.
A couple more questions?
Do more questions? You want to do that?
Let's do the last sponsor and then a couple more questions.
That's a good idea that you just had.
And then we're going to wrap the thing up.
Because people get free stuff with this.
I was reading your mind.
People get free stuff. Hey, kids, will you come here real quick? Yeah? Okay, so we have one more sponsor for this episode, and it is a company called RX Bar. And we're gonna do this, say hello to our daughters, our lovely daughters. Yeah. All right. So here's what I want you to do. If you would go around, and I'm sure there's plenty of people that are wearing pants in the audience, and so they have pocket knives on them. So what I'd like you to do is take these, we'll lay them down there, and just distribute them to everybody in the audience, okay? You get somebody to help you open them, and just move along and give them out to everybody, okay? One to everybody. Can you do that? Okay, go for it. And I'll tell you what they are. Matt, you want to start? And I'll open them up. Thank you, ladies.
All right, so these are RX bars, and I love the branding on these things because it's simple and I can get it. Remember a few years ago, there was like some lawsuit because some company was pretending to be something it wasn't. They're like, this is all we put in there, except it wasn't. They have 79 other things in there, and they just didn't list it. This is actually it. A couple guys from Chicago started this, right?
I think so. So here's how we're going to do this. We're just going to let the product do the talking by giving them to you.
That is a nice way to say, Matt, you're doing a terrible job.
No, not at all. That's not what I said at all. I was just saying we're going to give them to people.
That's a better way to do it. It is a better way to do it.
Everybody likes getting stuff. Okay, so these things are protein bars. Does anybody here eat protein bars? The matrix on these things are mostly dates, which is really different. And it's legit protein bars.
Time sensitive.
What?
These yellow ones?
Yeah.
Are maple sea salt. Make sure the Canadians get these.
Yeah. That's great. So anyway,
I'm going to hit somebody in the face with that.
They're all kinds of flavors here. We're going to hand them out.
Far.
A big thank you to RX Bar for sponsoring this podcast and for giving us free stuff. That was pretty good. Whoa!
It's a good thing I was there.
I wonder who's
sorry for that. That was not cool. I'm a bad person.
Dude, I so want to throw that at you. Right? I'm going to.
Drayson, he can handle that.
I'm going to hit somebody.
He's not Canadian. Don't throw him one of those.
I can't do that.
Okay.
I can't do that because I'm going to hurt somebody and then we would have an incident. So anyway, that's it. I know everybody's going out to, your Eclipse site tomorrow, and usually you take stuff that's non-perishable. So take these things with you, try them out, let us know. Tweet us at No Dumb Questions, and tell us what you think about the RX bars. This is my favorite right here. It's the chocolate sea salt. That's the way I eat breakfast in the morning. I have usually an orange juice or a milk, and good job, young man.
Canadian.
Yeah. Canadian?
There you go.
Give them a shot. Let us know what you think. All right, so our daughters are going to come around with those, and make sure you get one and try it out. How was that, Matt? Was that
was solid.
Did you guys like that ad? Was that a pretty good ad? And it's called RX Bar. When we do the ads on the podcast, we try really to not make them awful, right?
Well, we try to make them a segment if we can, if in any way fits into something we're talking about. That makes it a lot more fun. So my thing on this is we just got done talking about branding and even anti-branding, 2 episodes ago? And I really like their branding on these. It's just, their branding is the ingredients. That's it. Yeah. Our brand is that we don't put other stuff in here. Clever, I thought.
It's pretty simple.
Yep.
Very good. Okay, moving on to questions.
You have a couple more?
I did. Let me check the time like we normally do. So we're at an hour and 35 minutes?
We got to home stretch it right here.
Yeah, let's do it.
Home stretch. But the home stretch means a couple more questions.
Couple more questions, and we'll home stretch it.
You have 2 more? What do you have over there?
Oh, she's not paying attention. I almost hit you. I'm so sorry.
Somebody just earned a life debt.
Go ahead.
I see good things for y'all in the future. I admire the way you two can talk. Oh, this is a compliment one. This is from Anonymous. I admire the way you two can talk to people with different worldview perspectives with respect and humility. How do you keep this attitude in a world where, that's a fair point, where many Christians seem to care more about winning an argument?
Yeah.
Jab accepted.
Yeah. Have you ever have you ever won somebody to your way of thinking by arguing them to the point? Ever? Like arguing them to the point.
I got to go a long ways back in history to think of a positive.
Really?
Yeah, maybe like childhood when no one's thinking and it's just whoever yells loudest.
Yeah, it's my way. Yeah, never. Especially, yeah. So I don't think it makes any sense to just scream at people. I think you learn a lot more by listening. And once I've listened to you about your point, I mean, you're not obligated, but you're more likely to listen to me. And if you don't, whatever. Yeah. What have we
You're
lost?
where you were going to be anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think one of the most, the moment I knew I wanted to like work with you is the moment I said something and I said, no, man, and I said something about somebody that said something. And you said, hey, back off. Back off just a little bit.
I remember that one.
You remember that?
Yeah.
This is way back in windshield time. You're going a little too far. These are my friends, and you're just not allowed to talk about that. Go ahead and make your point, but that's just not acceptable. And I stopped, and I immediately apologized. And I realized that I was in this particular topic, I was a little bit on a high horse, wasn't I?
I'm going to compile on.
Yeah. Yeah. But the way you said it was respectful, and the tone was great, and it actually changed the way I thought instantly. It was not argumentative. It was just, hey, man, you're being too hard. And so I think that was probably the tersest moment in our relationship. Maybe?
I don't think it was too bad.
Yeah. I don't know. For me,
let's put
it this way. It was humbling for me. And when you're humbled, you remember it.
Okay.
And I changed. Okay. And your tone had a lot to do with that.
Yeah, and you were cool about it.
Yeah.
Mild disagreement. You were cool about it, and I appreciate it. I think for a long time, the game plan with Christianity has included too much force.
Yeah.
I think the game plan has been, we're going to win this thing by getting more people on one side, and then maybe we could even get access to the decision makers, and then we could make people think like us. I think every time we've tried that in history has been a dark time. It's been a mistake. History has proved that is not a good way to talk about Jesus. It's not a good way to advance what Christians call the gospel, like the message of the grace of God. The best movements, the best moments in the history of the church are the ones that sound more like what you just characterized. The ones where the church is comfortable with saying, yeah, I know people think we're weird. I think it's true. It checks out. And if you think something's true and real and it checks out, you shouldn't need to bend anybody's arm to make that happen.
And I really personally, I get a lot more out of somebody that's intellectually honest than someone that just goes with the flow and just tries to do something because it's socially acceptable.
Yep.
And so I really resonate with people that are honest with me about things that are completely different than what I feel.
And let me tell you what does the exact opposite effect is mindless party line towing.
Yeah.
This is what my side says, so I say it, because that's what I'm supposed to say at this juncture in the conversation. Feels like we're not having a conversation at that point. I like the people, for better or worse, agree more or disagree more, where I feel like we're at least thinking about it together.
Next question.
That was a good, hard question, and thank you.
That was really good. It made me think about meekness. Meekness is not laying down and just letting people run over you. Meekness is having power or having the upper hand and not using it. It's like, I don't know. That's something that makes me think about. Okay. Do you have a favorite episode, Matt? Which one and why? SED or TMBH or NDQ? From Minnesota, that's Luke.
Whoa, run that by me one more time.
What's your favorite episode, if anything?
So many
that
initials.
We make. I enjoyed the church building episode that you made.
That was fun to make.
We went around and looked at different church buildings. On Smarter Every Day, I think one of my favorites is Why You Didn't Die at Birth, because I didn't know how my baby came out of my wife and it was breathing liquid inside, or at least some form of respiration. And then the minute it came out, all of a sudden you're breathing air. Those lungs work. There's a valve, like plumbing, that happens. Mm-hmm. I didn't know that. And so I got to ask the questions, and it involved two people I love, so that was cool.
I like that one.
Yeah.
That was one of the first videos we watched of yours, because my wife's intrigued by that as well. We think it's cool. I really like the one about hypoxia.
Yeah, it was
Did you guys
cool.
see the one about why you put your mask on first, and when you went and had yourself deprived of oxygen?
Don Pettit is cool. He is the man. He's the astronaut that was in there with me. By the way, Don Pettit's in Salem, Oregon right now. He's been we keep in touch. He's been texting me pictures for the past few months. He's building a telescope rig in his garage out of just parts. Like he's taking pride in cobbling together a serious hydrogen alpha filtered telescope that will do legit astronomical observations from junk.
One time in my garage, we had this board. What? Yeah. Y'all just assume it's going to be terrible. We had this board that measured how tall the kids were, but we had to move it to another place.
What'd you do, Matt?
Well, I measured from the bottom to the first thing, and then I screwed it to the wall at that height so that it would be the same in its new position.
Very good, Matt. Yep, very good, Matt.
It's like a telescope in ways. But seriously, like that moment where your brain just switched off, that was freaky.
It was weird
effective.
because I remember it happening. I remember thinking, I no longer
He went into an oxygen deprivation chamber. I don't know what you whatever. It had some name or something. Well, whatever. And his brain just quit working because he didn't put his mask on. So finally, the guy in the control room, was that Don?
No.
Like, hey, Destin, let's go ahead and put on the mask now.
I just laughed, yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, this is the corrective action I need to take to save my life. And I remember giving the command to my arm. I was like, there's a green switch right there. I need to flip the green switch to get oxygen to my brain. And I gave the command, didn't work, gave the command, didn't work. And I looked at people and I was like, I don't want to die. I need to flip that switch. I don't want to die. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, and you could communicate your desire to be not dead.
Yes, but I couldn't do it.
Do the thing that.
And my wife had a really hard time watching that video. I came back. She goes, "You're an idiot." I was like,
She's making some strong points.
This is normal. This is normal training that pilots and flight test engineers and people have to do. It was an interesting moment. Your turn.
Like that. I've got a video that I'm about to put out from the trip to Italy. A bunch of my friends went with me to Italy this summer.
Yes.
And we took one day, and I went around with 4 or 5 friends, and we just flew from obscure place where the Apostle Paul hung out to next obscure place. And I think it's the first video on the internet of following the after acts, after Bible life of Paul.
Like you went to the physical places.
Went to the places. Like
How did you know where they were?
Research.
Are you being serious?
Yeah.
Where do you go to research that?
I don't know. Books and stuff. That's a long answer.
Don't hand wave that. Where do you go? Yeah, no.
Okay, where do you start?
Just give me a couple of examples so that I seriously don't understand where you would even start to do that.
Okay, well, one of the places you can start with is Roman Catholic tradition, because it's a very big deal to them that Peter and Paul are associated with Rome. So they documented a lot of those places. Then additionally, you've got some early scholars and church historians. There's a guy named Eusebius, who's an important early church historian, wrote a little bit after the fact, and he wrote down a ton of stuff, just a treasure trove of knowledge about early church history. So you can start to compare early sources with each other to figure out which ones are credible and which ones aren't. But this is why it would be fun for us to do this on a podcast. But then additionally, like where Paul's body is, we know with almost certainty that he was in San Sebastian catacombs.
He was beheaded, right?
Briefly, he was.
Okay.
He was buried with his head.
With a head.
Yes.
Okay.
He was beheaded at Tre Fontana Abbey, and where his head supposedly bounced 3 times, creating 3 fountains. Does not pass my smell test. Seems false because of the non-elasticity of heads. But
there was a guy.
And because and honestly, this answers your question, and because the 3 fountains that are present there predate the execution of Paul. So it's really easy there to just say, oh, anachronism, that doesn't line up, that couldn't possibly be true. And you can just write it off and say this is part of the fun and the legend that arose around it. But that he was executed there, you can make a pretty good case for that from early sources. Then his body gets moved around during different persecutions because people didn't want to lose touch with the body of Paul. They thought a little differently than we do about the dead and their connectedness to the body and what that represents in a connectedness with the afterlife. And so they hid the body during different persecutions. Finally, he ends up in this marble, almost concrete sarcophagus. But there's a fire in the building where he was kept. The
sarcophagus, is that the elephant on Sesame Street?
Nailed it. and so gradually, a big fancy church gets built over the place where they're pretty sure the box that has Paul in it is sitting. And then within the last 10 years, they had to do some pulling things apart, and they find the original sarcophagus dating to the 4th century. It's not original, but the one he got moved to. And then they actually did the old sciencey science research and poked out holes and grabbed samples from the fibers that were in there, dated that stuff, and it checks out. So,
That's cool.
I mean, it's not like they got like a bucket of things labeled Paul's stuff, and they could just go over there and get that and be like, well, let's see if it matches. Hey, it's Paul.
What's up with the tent pegs?
Yeah, but they can say, all right, well, it was this kind of person from this part of the world who lived in this set of decades, and tradition says it's Paul, so it's probably Paul.
Thanks.
You asked.
Very well. Got it. Ready for the next one?
Yeah.
This is from Chris Mumal from Florence, Alabama. What is your favorite cake, pie, or cobbler? Do you know what cobbler is?
I could not define cobbler if called upon to do so.
Really? Do they have cobbler here?
Yeah.
It's like a fruit dough casserole,
Does that check out, Diana?
typically with ice cream. So what's your favorite cake, pie, or cobbler?
My mom, who is the only viewer of my YouTube channel, makes me a we call it a Twinkie cake, but it's really more like a ding dong cake because it's like, a Suzy Q, somewhere in that range. I mean, you would know, you're the snack cake expert. But she
Ding
makes
dongs are actually Hostess. Those are the competitor. So,
I'm sorry for that.
yeah, okay.
My birthday is on Christmas.
Okay.
And so a very special part of our Christmas tradition is in the morning we do Christmas, and then at night my mom makes me Twinkie cake. And it's good, and it's yummy, and you can just barehand it. It's delicious.
Tell people what you do. Is she here? Tell people what you do at your daughter's birthday party.
Oh yeah, we got a tradition. I hope this carries all the way to her wedding day.
Yeah.
Whenever all the little girls gather around for my daughter's birthdays, I get this like real creepy, grumpy voice. Which one of you kids wants a cake? And I just cram my hand into the middle of it and fling a dollop onto the first plate.
You serve birthday cake with
every
your bare
single
hands.
bite. And one day, on that special day, when she's met that special someone, I'm going to take fistfuls of that cake and give it to guests.
You're gonna
Welcome to wedding.
That's great. To answer your question succinctly, I'm going to go with chocolate pie from Big Bob Gibson's in Decatur, Alabama. That was actually my wedding cake. It was actually chocolate pie. But I can't turn out a peach cobbler with some ice cream. Yep. That's the right answer, Roll Tide.
You got one left? Let me see what it is.
I
You
have
can look
one
at mine.
left. I
You can
think
look at
mine's the one to end on.
Is it? Okay.
It is. Well,
Then I'm going to do this one. No. You're right.
I think it's...
You read my mind. You're
Yeah.
40% accurate.
I did.
If you could change one historical event, add or remove it, what would you change and why?
If I could change one historical event...
Yep.
Whoa. Well, I mean, you're the history guy.
I know, but I was asking you first. Buys me time.
Buying yourself some time. Change one historical event.
Let's just game it out. Let's do the obvious
Okay.
ones, right? Like, go back to the 19-teens and befriend Adolf Hitler.
And kill him.
No, just learn. No.
No?
No. No, you just look him up. And you'd be like, oh, what's up, bro? Sweet mustache. You want to sit at our table? Then he comes over there. You invite him to your D&D club.
Sweet art.
And you're like, hey,
He's a painter.
You know what would be the worst thing ever? Killing anybody. Can we agree? And then you started like, let's never kill anybody club with like Hitler. And then he grows up to just not.
Well done, Matt. You know, you're joking, but you're not joking.
He could letter in it and everything.
Yeah. It is amazing, in all seriousness, how you can affect the course of someone's life. I can't tell you how many messages I get from people saying, hey, I decided to go into this field of study or whatever because I watched your dumb balloon video. In all seriousness, there's people that like, Robert Krulwich, Don Pettit, people that have taken the time to talk to me and influence decisions that I've made about my future.
Yep.
And it actually does.
Yep.
And everybody has that power.
Yep.
And we just don't use it. Why?
Because everybody's worried about themselves, not in a selfish way. You walk into your first day of middle school and you think everybody's being mean to you. They think you're being mean to them too, because everybody is mortified. And what's weird is you then think that goes away in like 9th grade, except it sort of doesn't. Like, I think most people to a degree still feel a little bit of that little kid. Do I fit here? Do I belong here? What is my place? Where do I fit? Did I say something stupid? And just the language I like to use is when people have expanded their circle to just let me metaphorically and literally just come stand in the circle, that's it.
Yeah.
That's been enough.
To change your life.
Well, just then my weird, stupid crap dwindles. Like my impulse to say something flippy or eat my own dandruff or whatever it is that I might do because I'm nervous and I'm going to make an idiot of myself and make things worse. It goes away. So I'm like, I'm in. I'm good.
That's weird, man, because every time everybody says go do something different about history, the would you kill Adolf Hitler thing comes up. And your answer is you would befriend Adolf Hitler. And I've never thought about that. And that's the right answer, I think. Okay, I'm not going to top that. All right, moving on. So that was good. That was very good. Okay, Matt does that in the podcast, doesn't he? He's like, every once in a while, he'll just drop some serious, stupid philosophical stuff that is amazing. All right, last question. Good one to end on.
Okay.
What quality do you most admire in your wives? And this is from Sarah from Billings, Montana. Well done, Sarah. Setting us up for success. So, Matt, would you like to smash this out of the park?
I answered the last one. You get to go first.
What?
Dude, my brain's still on Hitler.
My wife is more educated than me. She's more intelligent than me. She is more patient and more what's the word? She's more of a servant than I am. And I will never forget, this kind of summarizes my entire relationship and my marriage. We went to buy a car when we were newly married, didn't have any money. It was between a Toyota Supra, stick shift, turbo, 6-cylinder, and a Toyota Corolla hatchback, which was owned by an engineer who had kept every single oil change receipt for the past 7 years.
How'd the Supra drive?
It was great.
Awesome, man.
Yeah. She told me not to buy it. I said, sweetheart, thank you for your advice. I'm listening to that. I got to have the stick shift. Got to have it. On the way home from the sale, not lying, one of the cylinders lost compression, blew black smoke all over the van that she was following me in. And it just lost compression. I went down to 40 miles an hour on the interstate, and I was on the way home. Alabama is a buyer beware state. I spent our $800 that we had for a car on this thing that I drove immediately to the parking lot or into our house and parked and never moved again.
It's still there.
We sold it at an auction. Do you know what she said to me about that? Absolutely nothing. Nothing.
Was there a vibe?
No, there was nothing.
No vibe, no words.
Nothing. She didn't smirk. She didn't do anything. She did more for our marriage by not saying a word in that moment. And she said something along the lines of, "It's okay, baby. Maybe we'll figure it out. We'll get some more money and we'll figure out the right answer to this." And that right there, what she taught me in that moment was, I'm going to serve you as your wife, because that's really what she was doing. She's like, I'm going to put myself in a support role for you, and even if I'm more intelligent than you and you're going to screw up, I'm going to do it. And it's because I believe in what you're doing. And she spoke more without words, and she could have never said anything that taught me that. So anyway, that summarizes my wife. I admire the fact that my wife has a servant's heart, long-suffering, patient, and yeah. I love you, baby. Tara, in the room. Yeah.
Can I trade you seats?
What?
Can we trade seats? Because Camilla's over there.
Yeah, Camilla's over there. You got to look at her. Hey, Matt.
Yeah, because it's going to be weird if I'm looking at Chad when I say all that stuff.
Matt, what?
This isn't over.
I got a question. What quality do you most admire in your wife, Matt?
I'm going to hit that. My wife continues to get more beautiful as she ages, not just because she's beautiful, but because she is a master of social grace. I feel like I am...
Dude, we are crushing it right now.
Decent. I feel like I am decent at don't say that thing.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be redemptive. That person isn't in the room. That wouldn't be helpful. The idea is to move toward redemptive, but I would only say decent. Camilla is a master of that. I cannot tell you how many times she has foregone credit for she could have made a perfectly valid point that would have made her look good, that would have defended people she loves, that would have made her come out ahead, and she just will not do it. She will not talk about people like that. And sometimes it's even kind of frustrating because Like, it can be kind of cathartic. Please just indulge me for a minute. But she won't do it. And one time, and don't ever do this, one time I found a file on my computer that, I won't say the name, but I was like, I don't remember writing that. I don't remember what that is. And I opened it up, and it was just a bunch of notes she had made to herself. She had written things to herself about how she wanted to talk about people and think about people and treat people when they weren't there. And it was just hidden somewhere in the deep archives of an external hard drive where I was looking for some old file. And I came across this thing, and she lives like that. And I will tell you that do you remember when we were kids and there was Mall Hot? And that was amplified by like there being like 4 or 5 girls in a row, and you're like, glancing over.
It's called the cheerleader effect.
It is called the cheerleader
it's
effect.
Scientifically proven.
Yeah, it's real. Like, that's cool. That's great. Like there's that passing beauty, but then there's the beauty of someone who is gentle and patient and kind and has your back and makes you look good even when you don't deserve to look good. And she is artful at that, and this may be the only time in her life she's ever got credit for it.
That's pretty good. Thank you very much, wives.
Thank you very much, wives.
So, in closing, to close everything out, I guess I'll say this before. I mean, like, if you want to tweet us or anything, it's at @NoDumbQs.
Yep.
Anything else?
You're at Smarter Every Day.
I'm at Smarter Every Day. You're at Matt Whitman, TMBH.
TMBH.
Yeah, you can hit us on all the things. We'll leave a discussion for this live episode in the subreddit. Whoop.
And thank you very much for getting the vibe we're going for. This is not a normal crowd of people to get together in 2017. In 2017, we're going full tribe right now. Get with people like you, soldier up, and get ready to battle the other side. And you're here, and this group is weird and doesn't make any sense, and there's no reason for us to be hanging out together and be cool with each other, and you're doing that. So I respect it just enormously. Thank you.
Thank you so much for all the support that you guys have given us, because we're doing a strange thing. Yeah, this doesn't make any sense. And you drove dozens of hours and flew, and it's crazy for the Eclipse, of course. But you actually came and gave us a little bit of your time as well. Yep. And so thank you very much for everything you've done.
You guys are awesome. We'll catch you after.
Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate your time. Yep.